Hello everybody, welcome to Red Leaf Retrocast, an excellent part of your balanced breakfast as well as sponsored by Lucky Charms. My name is Josh and you can find me on the illustrious YouTube channel Power Chord as well as on Twitter's @PowerChordGaming. Today around the table I have with me my other friendly co-host JD from Moose and Spiel. JD, why don't you say hi and introduce yourself to everybody?
Hi, I'm JD, local Toronto guy these days. I run a YouTube channel called Moose and Spiel, and you can find me on Twitter @BowlingJD. And what do you do, Josh? I hear you also do something like that.
Yeah, like I said, I am on the illustrious, ever infamous channel on YouTube called Power Chord. But I am not in the Toronto area. However, I am still a fellow Canadian citizen. So you know, this is why we call ourselves Red Leaf Retrocast. You know, gotta support Canada. You know what I'm saying?
It makes sense.
So, what we're going to do today, since, you know, it's not our pilot episode, in case you guys haven't seen that, you guys should definitely go check that out. We're going to talk about a few things today. We're going to talk about the Nintendo Direct that was done Thursday.
Right.
Was it?
It was.
So we're going to talk about the Nintendo Direct. And then we have a retro chop. We're going to talk about a little bit more news that we kind of think you guys might be interested in. We're also going to go on to our main topic, which this time it is all about space.
Yeah, our theme is space. That's kind of what we agreed on for the first one. And I'm looking forward to it. Some different games, that's for sure. Some games I've never played before. And some I've gotten to dabble in for the first time in years.
Yeah, no, I haven't played a lot of the games that we're going to talk about, so it's definitely an interesting perspective, and it was definitely an interesting experience. Increasingly frustrating, I'll tell you that too.
Well, we'll definitely have fun getting into that in some of those games.
Yeah. So to start, we're going to start with the Nintendo Direct.
Oh my god, Josh, did you watch it? I assume you did, since we're talking about it.
I did. I watched a really quick rundown of it. I actually had to miss the presentation because I was too busy. I was at work, so I didn't actually get to watch the presentation. So I had to read a really quick rundown of it. I haven't actually watched it, but I read a really quick rundown on it.
See, I believe I know what I'm expecting. Should have skipped work. Priorities in life.
You know what? Yeah, that's right. You know, the Nintendo Switch was recently announced. But, I mean, I don't know. I don't need to work. All I need is a Nintendo Switch. I'm good to go. Right?
I take it you're excited about it.
Yes, I am actually increasingly excited. I keep saying that word. I am really, really excited for the Switch. I haven't had a Nintendo system since the Wii, which is really sad. And, like, handheld, when it comes down to handheld, I haven't had a console for that since the 3D, or not the 3D, I didn't even get the 3DS. I had the DS Lite.
Ooh, so it's been like 2006 for you then, for both of them.
At least, yeah, man. I was using my DS right through to high school. I was playing, the latest thing I ever played was Pokemon Black 2.
Not a very good Pokemon game.
I mean, it was, I don't know. It was different. It was different. I enjoyed it, but when I played with a few of my friends at school, they definitely didn't enjoy it because I didn't have anything else to do other than play Pokemon or other console games.
Well, it's funny you bring up Pokemon because that is a Nintendo exclusive.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I really like about the Nintendo Switch, which I'm really excited about. They have so many first-party games that we're going to talk about later.
We're definitely going to get more into that. What do you say we go directly into the Direct?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
So, like I said, the Switch was announced, and it started off at $300 worldwide, which I think is an incredible price point, and which I really think is a great thing because Nintendo has always done an excellent job with pricing their product. They've always been ahead of the competition when it comes to pricing their product. Like, even when the Wii U came out, it was about $350, whereas PS4 and the Xbox One were about $400.
Respectively, correct. Although for us here in Canada, we pay much more than everyone else, so it's going to be $400 Canadian, so we get the big shaft on that. But even then, that's still a pretty good price.
Yeah, exactly. So regardless of the fact that we had to pay a little more because the Canadian dollar sucks, it's still at a better price point than what's coming out now with, for example, I believe the PlayStation Slim. I didn't get a price point on that. And even the Xbox One, what's the Xbox One S now?
Right.
I really stopped caring. I got my Xbox One, wasn't interested with it, and as you heard about our opinions in the pilot episode, I don't really care about the Xbox One.
Even though you have one.
Yeah, and it's sitting on my bed right behind me. It's a dusty thing, man. I'll tell you that. It's a dusty thing. But I had to break it out. It was screaming at me when I had to bust it out for the space game that I needed to play on.
One of them, right?
And yeah.
So what do you say we break the presentation down?
Yeah, that sounds good.
So I'd like to say this presentation was very Japanese. It took place at 9 a.m. in Japan, or noon, something like that. 11 p.m. on the East Coast in North America, 5 a.m. in Europe. So this was clearly, in my opinion, not directed, to use the word loosely, for us in particular. It was for, it seemed like it was strictly about the console, which is fine. It was so focused on that. The games, which we'll get into later, were almost an afterthought. It was kind of just it was almost like all the games were tech demos for what the console would be capable of and is capable of.
Okay.
Because it seemed like it was all for investors. They didn't really connect with their audience, because from what I was watching via Twitch, and everybody on there is gamers, and they were just blasting them apart because it was awkward Japanese business guys in their suits, even the audience not really too excited. They were just listening. They kept using words like, it's a console you can play on the go, which is business lingo at its best, saying it's kind of keeping the 3DS relevant, saying it's not dead, but at the same time it's enhancing what the Switch is, which is a video game console, handheld, second, or even, you might say it's even third. Then they got into the online service, which won't be paid. You won't have to pay for it until the fall, which I found interesting, and we'll get into the positives and negatives to that in a second. Then they got into did you see how the interpreters did, or hear them more or less?
No, like I said, I hadn't actually watched the presentation. I had to read a quick rundown because I hadn't actually watched the presentation because I was at work.
Well, let me tell you from someone who speaks a foreign language fluently.
Oh boy, here we go.
Interpreting a foreign language on the fly is incredibly difficult. You have to constantly switch, like, both sides of your brains, the language center. So you're listening to one language, then you're in your head, you're translating it into your native tongue, then you have to spit it back out. Right? Mm-hmm. One of them had such a rough time. People were just messing him apart. It was quite rough. So I give them the benefit of the doubt. It's a tough job, but maybe they should have had pre-notes.
Yeah, you'd think for something like that, they would have prepared a little better for something like that. That
being said, Nintendo probably didn't want anything to be leaked. Which led to not giving them anything like that. So it's kind of that pro and con kind of deal. They want everything to be a surprise. So it's like, well, the interpreters are never in the spotlight anyway, so screw them.
Yeah, but at the same time, they could have easily had something written and ready for the interpreters, like by Nintendo themselves, and given to them the day of the presentation.
I don't know. I mean, Nintendo's never been like that, though. They're really hush-hush about everything.
Unless it comes to anything Pokemon.
Well, right. So after the interpreter kind of rough go of things, that's when they started going to the more tech demos, basically, of games. I really liked their catchphrase their little shtick that they did, where it's "Let's switch" and they snap.
Yep.
That was really cool. I quite enjoyed that. It was really nice. And then when they started going into each game, you had the awkward guy from EA up there, just kind of standing like, "Oh God, I gotta be here in Japan."
Yeah, it's 5 a.m. I'm so tired right now. What do you mean What do you mean I have to do this? Whatever. Boy. We gotta make sales.
Yeah. The Splatoon guy was in like a coat and he had sunglasses. He was really trying. God bless him. It was so bad. He kept making this like 2 figure in his body, and it was just awkward from the get-go. It was super weird. But it was funny nonetheless.
But you know what? That kind of stuff is normal in Japan.
It's normal in Japan, but when, a Westerner looks at it, we're like slapping our head, just going, "Oh God, please stop."
Stop it. You're on the internet, man. God, you're going to be memed hard.
So a few other industry guys went up there. The one I'd like to note is the poor Grasshopper Studio guy. And Grasshopper Studios, the guys who made the game No More Heroes.
Mm-hmm.
So not only was the guy up there awkward and weird, he immediately like knocks his microphone off his jacket a bit.
Boy.
And he even goes, "Well, that didn't go well." Quote unquote. And the translator translated it for him, and this was the worst translator. He had a rough go. I saw tweets going out of like, "Give this guy an energy drink. Maybe Donald Trump needs to start interpreting. That way we'll actually be entertained." It was so ruthless.
And the internet's gotten brutal, and just for Nintendo, it seems.
It was those poor Japanese guys.
Yeah, they never even seen it coming. Oh my gosh.
The presentation itself was pretty bad. It was super awkward, and it was super awkward from the get-go. Everything from them presenting things in the form of magic tricks was weird. But let's that aside, the presentation aside, we're here for the Nintendo Switch.
Yeah.
So let's get into the hardware. What do you think?
Yeah, that sounds great. So like I had said before, it's going to be a $300 price point, no matter where you are. It's all going to depend on how your dollar is, because like for us, it's coming out at $3.99.
Yeah, Australia, I believe it's $4.69 in Australia.
Yeah, so,
oof, those poor guys.
I mean, yeah, that's a tough price point in Australia, but at the same time, we got to think about it's all pretty much the same. I mean, I don't know how the economy is over in Australia. I'm not a businessman myself.
What's weird is the Australian, if we're getting to a little economics here behind, because Nintendo's always been fantastic about, like you said, their price points. It's usually been fair. This time around, there's a controversy, you might say.
Oh no, not some controversy.
Oh no, controversy. So the Australian dollar and the Canadian dollar are almost identical to the cent these days.
Oh my gosh. So they're getting shafted for another $100.
They're getting shafted for $60 more than Canadians.
That's incredible, man.
So the only reason I can think of is their strict gaming laws, and the import tax.
Okay, yeah.
Because Australia has is pretty rough in that sense. But Europe, where the euro is stronger, in Germany, France, I believe they're paying $3.20 for the console.
See, now I'd rather pay that.
Well,
but I mean, of course, if we were to bring our money there, it would be pretty much worth nothing.
Well, that price point immediately says, okay, so they're not doing anything about exchange rates. So why are Canadians and Australians then paying $100 to $150 more? when the euro's stronger and they're paying more. So Europe kind of got shafted on that. But the British pound, which is the strongest currency I'm going to mention, I believe they're only paying $2.70.
What the hell?
And that goes into immediately what I said before with the exchange rate not really being a factor in how they've priced the system, except with the exception in Canada.
That is something definitely to think about.
Because if you direct, right? Because if it was an exact exchange rate based on a $300 USD price point, which is equal to how much they're going to pay in Japan in yen, which is the 29,009 something yen.
Yeah.
You do a direct exchange rate, that's 1-to-1, let's say. You do 300 USD to 400 Canadian, that's kind of 1-to-1 on the exchange rate. But if you do it for the British pound, they should only be paying like 175 tops. If we're going by the US dollar as the baseline,
which is what we got that price point at. So
yeah, it's really weird how they've priced it in all the different regions. But nonetheless, it's still a good price point worldwide.
Yeah, as much as a lot of people are probably confused as to why their price point's different, it still goes to stand that they're really the Nintendo products have always been a really fair price point, which is what helped them sell so much. Which is why the Wii is the best selling console.
The Wii
recorded history. Yeah,
yeah.
The Wii.
The Wii U didn't do so hot.
Well, I mean, there was a few issues for that, but
right.
The Wii was also such a whole new thing that it kind of sold itself. Whereas the Wii U, they kind of took a lot of that stuff away and tried to go back into the handheld thing, which is what Nintendo seems to really be pushing with the Direct.
They really liked the idea of the 3 modes, which is another point of the hardware. There's the TV mode, where you hook it up to the dock, which seamlessly hooks up to your TV. Then there's tabletop mode, right? Where you take the Switch itself out of the dock and just kind of place it on the table, and you have your controller. And then there's handheld mode.
Like the Wii U gamepad, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, the handheld mode is exactly like the Wii U gamepad. Tabletop mode is you have just the Switch screen, and the controllers are separated from it.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah. So
that's interesting. No, that's actually
it's very
really cool. They're basically taking a lot of what was good from the Wii U and making it more mobile, which is great.
It's almost like they've taken all of the best ideas from the past consoles and put it into the Switch, which is fantastic. What I did find funny was when they were going over in the presentation of the original Nintendo, Famicom came with 2 controllers, so we put 2 controllers, quote unquote, in the Switch, which is both sides of the Joy-Con controller, the left and the right, and it can connect and disconnect from the device. It's like, okay, awesome. The Super Nintendo has the L and R and X and Y for extra fun. Like, okay, well, that's the same. Then they get into the GameCube. It's like, we put a handle on this so you can take it on the go.
Yeah.
It's like, is that really the best you can do with the GameCube?
Yeah, is that the only thing you can take away from the GameCube? Of all the great things that come out of the GameCube, the handle is the best.
The handle on the console. I got a kick out of that. But I think that was more or less saying you can take your Switch, aka the console, on the go. Yeah. So I'm like, I saw where they were coming from. Yeah, it's a great idea. So we all see where they're coming from, but the way they presented it was quite funny. Like I said, the presentation was really awkward at times.
Yeah, but let's be realistic here. Who's really going to carry that around with them? They're going to have the online play, and if a lot of these first title games go as well as they're supposed to go, and even some of the third-party games that are going to come out, why would anybody want to bring the Switch with them to someone else's house?
Well, that would be going into those negatives and positives that we'll get into after we go through all the hardware. Yeah. So, back to those price points, the controllers have, the accessories for the Switch has come for more controversy here as well.
Yeah.
The Joy-Con controller, the left and the right, is $80. The
Jesus
Pro controller
Christ.
is $70. And another dock, so let's say that you want your Switch to be on another TV in a household, is $90. And that's essentially just a plastic box with, I'm not sure what the specs on the dock itself is, like how it seamlessly attaches to the TV. But that's quite a bit. And for some perspective, the PS4 controller is $65. So here in Canada, we're going to be paying $100 for these accessories.
Great. Aren't you excited? I know I'm excited.
Well, yeah, it's gonna be rough for Canadians. That's for sure. I mean, it's expensive, but it's not totally outrageous if you compare it to what the other controllers cost.
Yeah, no, that's true.
And how much technology are in these controllers? Which,
and
why don't you tell us about that?
So yeah, technology that comes in the controller, it definitely really interesting. I think it's going to add a lot of colorful advantages to a lot of different styles of gameplay, like the HD rumble feature. We were talking about this before we started recording this. I think it's going to be really interesting. The fact that it's going to rumble differently throughout the whole controller. I think that's going to add a really cool, a whole nother level of play style to a lot of different games. Like I can already see, let's say in an action adventure game, I'm not going to say Legend of Zelda for a second. I'm just going to say anything where let's say you take the controllers apart and you use them to control your character's hands, for example. Okay? I could see something like you putting your hands on the wall to kind of feel the wall out, and you could feel it vibrating at different parts of your hands, right? It could be something cool like that. Or even with Legend of Zelda, let's say, for example, they add a quirk such as drawing your bowstring. When you draw the bowstring, you'll feel pressure at different parts of the controller. Not pressure, but rumble to reflect the pressure that would typically be on an archer's hands when you pull the bowstring.
Yeah, it's really going to give you some crazy feedback potential, especially in a game like Zelda. I was thinking something along the line of when Link clashes swords.
Yeah, I was actually just about to say that. Or even with his shield. You know, when something flashes, you can definitely feel it. I think that's definitely a really interesting thing.
Yeah, the way they presented it was kind of weird with the ice cubes and the water filling it up. Saying you'll be able to tell between 1, 2, 3 ice cubes and then water. So what that's telling me is you'll be able to tell. Okay, so with the ice cubes, what that's telling me is you'll have weight at the bottom, middle, and top, and then when water fills, and how water kind of goes around in a glass, it'll give you kind of this 360 degree weight to it. A lot of people weren't too excited about this Rumble feature. I saw a lot of quotes going around saying, "Aren't we done with Rumble? I thought that was over with." I mean, I can see the negative behind it. Companies just won't do anything with it, so then essentially we're going to pay too much for a feature that we don't need.
But I mean, there's a lot of things you could do with the Rumble feature.
Yeah.
There's so many incredible things you could do with the Rumble feature, like how we said with Legend of Zelda. They could do something silly like they feels the rumble when Link clashes swords, or when he draws a bowstring, or they could do a bunch of different things to really bring the character what's like going on through their hands. Like they could do such a thing in, like, say, Super Mario Odyssey. When he shoots a fireball, whichever hand he shoots it from, your controller vibrates. It's little stuff like that. Or like when he punches something, like when he jumps, you can feel it in the other hand.
Right. No, it's going to be cool. We'll see what companies do with it, or even if they do something with it. That's what I'm worried about.
It's a very interesting thing to add into the controller. Definitely. I am 100% for little things like that. Every little details, I love it. I'm not gonna make or break something because of a little detail, because you could do the game with the HD rumble, you can do the game without the HD rumble. But I've always liked rumble features in games, and that's just a silly little quirk. Like I like when I love when I would play games like, for example, Halo. I hate that was the first shooter game I could think of, which is something else we'll get into later, maybe.
Oh, spoilers.
So when you're playing Halo and you shoot, you can feel the controller vibrate. I think that's interesting. Or like even if you get hit by something, the controller vibrates, which
it's feedback, which is nice.
It's a very, very small feature, and it won't make or break a system, and it is really interesting. But if it's gonna jack the price up, even if it's like $50 and they don't do anything with it, it's gonna be a little bit of a letdown. I could see the HD rumble being a feature that could be just a very, very, very minor letdown.
Like I said, it all depends on if companies utilize it at all.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think of the infrared and the amiibo reader in the controller?
I think it's gonna be interesting. I think that's their unique take on the good parts of the Kinect, I suppose,
or the Wii controller,
or the Wii controller even, because it's not gonna have the it's not gonna have the sensor bar, right?
Right. Which is going to be nice. You won't have to worry about ripping the cord.
Yeah, that or getting two-sided tape and sticking something to the top of your TV, or someone blocking the sensor. Not going to name any names, second players.
Alec.
No, but yeah, it's going to be nice because it's going to be nice that there's not going to be a bar there, so aesthetically it'll look nice. Now I think it'll it
does look pretty slick, doesn't it?
It does. It looks. The controller itself looks incredible. I'm actually infatuated with how the controller's going to look, especially for how you said tabletop mode. But we already went over that.
Yeah.
I think the infrared feature is a great thing because it'll add a third dimension to the game. Plus, it could encourage some players to actually, and this is going to sound incredibly kind of typical, get up off the couch to actually do something, you know?
Well, we saw that. We definitely saw the tech demo in one of the games we'll get into later, which is 1-2 Switch.
Mm-hmm.
How they utilized the infrared in the controller and how it can kind of measure distances.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things they didn't really touch on it is it can even tell if you do rock paper scissors, which is again so Japanese. Jonkin.
Oh yeah.
Jonkin po.
Yeah.
But we'll see what companies do with it. We'll see what the developers have in mind, if anything at all. For all we know, this could lead to a terrible shovelware game that we saw on the Wii.
Oh boy. It could also lead to very interesting indie games. I'm personally looking at this as a action adventure or horror aspect for now. At this second, they could easily do something like you have to actually walk around the room to find treasures or ways to get through rooms. I can see them doing something silly as like a maze or a puzzle game.
Could you imagine Fatal Frame with the feedback controllers?
Don't even bring Fatal Frame into this, okay?
Oh man,
you're a damn maniac.
Fatal Frame Made into Blackwater came out on the Wii U, and I was actually playing this with my mom when it came out.
Oh my gosh, you guys are crazy.
She freaked out because you have to pull the Wii U gamepad up like a camera.
Oh boy.
Now the game itself's not scary, but that aspect of it. Could you imagine something like that with the Switch?
I could see them easily doing with the release of Pokemon Go. They can easily do something that is, what is that called?
You know what? I'm going to interrupt you here. That is a great. I was thinking about this. Pokemon Stars is rumored, which is essentially like Pokemon Emerald for Sun and Moon. It's the combo of the game coming out on the Switch at some point. Yep. The rumor is the holiday season it's coming out.
Okay.
Could you imagine this HD precision feedback controller? You're playing in handheld mode or you're playing in tabletop mode, and you use either the right or the left controller to mimic the feeling of throwing a Pokeball.
That would be interesting. See, that's what I'm saying. I can see them definitely incorporating the augmented reality. That's it. I can see them definitely incorporating augmented reality with the controller because it's got the screen in the middle. So if they did something like for how you said with the Fatal Frame thing,
I don't remember if they're going to have an external camera though.
If they do, interesting. That'd be awesome. I could see them. I don't know if they would add something like that, because then a lot of people would get, how people are when they add cameras on things.
Right. Yeah.
So I could see them doing something like that, which I think would be awesome. But though, realistically, when it comes down to it, I really just expect that to be like what they did with the Wii U. For half the games, it'd be a way to look around first-person mode. It could be an extra map if you're playing TV mode.
Yeah.
Or it could be something you aim with, which I actually didn't really like in the Wii U. For example, in Legend of Zelda, it could be Wind Waker, it could be Twilight Princess, the HD remake, doesn't matter. The aiming with the bow, or anything you had to aim with the Wii U controller, I missed a lot of stuff. And I already have bad aim to begin with. So I could see them obviously doing something like that. I think
maybe that's why
really
you ended up hating one of the games later we'll talk about.
Aiming is definitely my downfall, which is not the whole reason I hate shooter games. Not hate shooter games, that's a really strong word, but that's why I don't play them often. But yeah, I could definitely see something cool like that happening, where they could incorporate some kind of augmented reality. So if you are playing it on the go, you can play your games on the go, right? So if you're playing Pokemon Stars, you could be playing, and then say, for example, as you're walking, your game says, hey, there's something in the grass, right? Or something along that extent. And you look around, and it's actually a Pokemon that could be in the area. So it could be a good use of what Pokemon Go did, but now incorporate it into an actual Pokemon game where your character can walk around in the... What's the world called now? I didn't actually get it.
Alola.
Alola. You can actually walk around in the Alola region, but while you're walking around, your character can simulate walking. And, I think that would be a pretty cool.
The possibilities are there. There's a lot of positives and negatives about the Switch from what we've seen in the Direct. Some of the... Why don't we go over the negatives first? Get those out of the way. Just from what's been discussed through fans' reactions to it. A lot of people are pissed off over the battery life.
Yeah.
The battery life is said to be anywhere from 2.5 to 6 hours.
Which is not a very committal battery life point. I don't know. That's like saying, I don't know, it'll last any time from a day to a year. I'm not too sure.
Well,
I mean, that's obviously really extreme.
They said it's highly depending on what kind of game you play. So I can imagine Skyrim being a couple hours long of gameplay of battery life.
It would also depend on...
Something like listening to music would be 6 hours.
Okay, but I think it would also depend on something as in, are you using TV mode? Are you using tabletop mode? Are you using, what was the third mode again? Sorry?
Handheld.
Are you using handheld mode? So that would really depend.
Well, one thing to take into account is the fact that when you take the Switch from TV mode, the resolution drops.
Yes.
So the frame rate can keep up. So it goes from 1080 to anywhere from 720
to 720.
Yes, 720 was the number bouncing around the most. But some games would be up in 900p, which is kind of weird.
Yeah, that's really weird. But hey, who are we to judge, right?
Yeah.
More pixels the better.
But what the battery life tells me, and it goes into that quote that they kept throwing out in the presentation, console. They never once called it a handheld. They said console you can play on the go, quote unquote. That's what they used. So the battery life didn't surprise me at all. The other aspect to take into account is the fact that state-of-the-art gaming laptops only last about 4 hours of battery life on state-of-the-art gaming laptops.
That's true. That is definitely something else you could think of. Plus, I'm sure they'll obviously have ways where you could have... obviously there'll be ways to charge it, but there definitely be ways where you can charge it a lot faster, like a quick charge type of thing.
The going just into a positive, since you mentioned charging, is it charges by USB-C.
Oh, good.
So not
So you can plug it into a
proprietary charging anymore. It's very standard. So that means if you're on an airplane, for example, because a lot of airplanes these days have outlets, so you can charge your phone and whatnot, or your laptop. you can charge your Switch now easily.
No, that's perfect. That's awesome.
It's great. That's a very good positive feature.
And the good thing about that, like just to stay on the positives, is that already sells to me a little bit better than the 3DS, because when you buy these 3DSs, they don't have chargers, like the themed 3DSs.
Well,
the
new 3DSs. That's is really, really odd. Well, going back to the accessories, it seems that everything's $10 more than they should be.
Yeah, that does.
That's really. I think that's going to hurt people getting, say, a Pro controller at launch. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's probably already affecting people deciding to get another Joy-Con controller.
Yeah.
Especially for Canadians paying $100 for just a controller. So that's really going to hurt in that aspect. But the good thing is the Switch comes with quote unquote 2 controllers.
Yes. So I mean, it's not as such. It also has to attribute, like we said before, the amount of technology that's going into these controllers. So it's understandable. But as a gamer with a tight wallet, it really breaks my heart to see it's going to be $100. Because even when the PS4 came out, compared to the PS4, the controller was only $65 to $70 when it first come out.
Right, $90 in Canada.
Yeah.
So I mean, for Canadians, when we compare what we pay for already, it's all about the same. Mm-hmm. But for people that live in the States, people that live in Europe, it's gonna be it's gonna hurt them. It's definitely gonna hurt the wallet. Which brings up the $300 starting price point again. It's a competitive gaming market. Is this gonna hurt them in the end? Should it have been $400? Because things like VR is out. People are paying anywhere from $600 to $1,200 for a virtual reality system, and those are selling.
Yeah.
So maybe $400 would have been a better price point in this competitive market. Who knows?
I mean, you're right. But at the same time, these accessories aren't necessarily make or break the game, right?
It's not going to make or break the system. You're absolutely right. But I think it's definitely going to hurt Nintendo.
It'll definitely hurt some of the sales. It'll definitely hurt some of the outside sales. As for console sales, I think this could... I think it'll definitely break the Wii U sales. Will it be close to the Wii's? That's going to be really tough. Because everybody
that's going to be tough. That's going to be tough to do. I think this $300 price point was their way of looking at selling the console right away.
Yep.
Which I can honestly say, if you tried pre-ordering a Switch on day one online, good luck.
Yeah, scalpers had it the first hour. They had all the pre-orders already done.
It was they sold out immediately. But we can get into that little story a little later. The two things that people are definitely mad about is the online feature, which is
is a little strange. You're gonna have to pay for it starting in the fall, so it's gonna be free at launch. So I think it's safe to say this thing is gonna be broken. Yeah, busted, broken.
It is not going to work. It's going to be exactly what the PlayStation Network was when it first started.
Oh my god, don't even get me started on how the PSN was when it first came out.
So if you're looking to play the Switch online in that first 6 months, I wouldn't even bother. It's going to be a rough go. Luckily, no games are going to be out online except a couple of them, but that's beside the point. The other aspect is Nintendo said or stated that with this online feature, paid service, you're going to get one retro game per month for free, but from what I've read, it's only going to be for that month. So it's almost like you're getting a free you're going to get
a free rental.
You're going to get a free rental.
And you know what? That's fine. Let's be positive for a second.
Okay.
Let's be positive for a sec and say it is like the PlayStation and the Xbox store, where you do get these free games and you can keep them, but you have to pay for the service. So if you were to get I don't know, you probably know this, when you got a free game, you download a free game on your PlayStation 4 from the PS Store, you have to have PlayStation Plus to play it. If you don't, even if you bought it on sale, you can't play it. So I can see them easily doing something like that, where they it's a good marketing play. That's honestly all it is. It's marketing play, which is fine. Nintendo's got to make money.
It's
They've
good,
been
but you're right. Nintendo is making business decisions,
and that's fine. That is.
Is it good for the gamer?
Fine.
We'll see in time. There's a lot of negatives right now, but like you said, let's stay positive.
Because we got to stay positive, right? Let's say for a second that they're going to stay competitive with their online prices. $15, $13, whatever. Everyone's going to pay for Nintendo Online, whatever the hell they want to call it. I don't know. They get to keep these games. But now here's the problem. It's been stated that the Switch only has 32 gigabytes of internal storage.
Ooh.
So
that's going to hurt. That's going to hurt people that like buying games digitally.
Oh, of course. Like 32 gigabytes.
That's nothing.
Grand Theft Auto 5 was like
60
gigabytes.
Get a load of this, Josh. Get a load of this, Josh.
Okay.
Zelda is going to take up 40% of the internal memory if you download the game digitally.
If you download digitally.
Right.
So that 32 gigabyte storage, which is fair
gone.
for a Nintendo system. That's fair for a Nintendo system.
It's exactly what the Wii U had.
Yeah.
Or the later version anyways.
Yeah, but at the same time, we're going into the next generation of the Nintendo system. Why not give it a terabyte might be a little much. Why not give it 500 gigabytes like the PlayStation 4 started out with on release?
See, that would be tricky because it's a console on the go. How would you stick that much internal memory without... But that brings to the fact that they're allowing some sort of SD card as external memory. So that's really nice.
So that's fine. Here's the other thing.
I have a Wii U and I wanted Fatal Frame, but it only came out digitally in the West.
Yeah.
So I had to dedicate an external hard drive just for the Wii U and a couple games.
And I could see a lot of gamers doing that. But then with the online feature, you're going to have all your games onto these hard drives if you don't want to take up internal storage, which is fine. And I could easily see them coming out with another accessory, costs, I don't know, let's just say in where we live in Canada, another $100 for a Nintendo license, let's say a terabyte external hard drive that you can connect to the Switch.
That's not out of the realm of possibility, but I see the SD card being the main feature, because SD cards these days are quite large, 64 gigs, 120 gigs, they do exist.
But see, now that you say that,
I don't see it as an issue to begin with, because Nintendo games, I mean, if you're going to get a game, it's going to be on the Virtual Console, and those games, Super Nintendo, NES, they are incredibly small in data size.
They're going to be megabytes. That's exactly
I am worried, though, about the GameCube Virtual Console.
Yeah, so anything like that.
GameCube games, those games are going to be much bigger. That's where this 32 gigs internal storage is going to become a problem.
And that's where I would like to argue
going to force
the point.
It is going to force you to get that SD card.
Yes. And that's where I would like to argue the point with they could have easily made the internal storage a tad bit bigger, because like you said, they're
maybe
making
64.
They're making SD cards. These small little cards that are no size, and they're no bigger than, let's say, a toonie, which for those of you who don't know what a toonie is, it's a coin. Okay? The size of a $2 coin, and holds 64 terabytes. Wow. 64 gigabytes. They could have easily made the internal storage.
Holy crap.
Yeah. Jesus Christ. Call the press. So, like, I think they could have easily made it better. And I think if they would have made it 64 gigabytes, I think the internet would have just lost their shit. They would have lost it. Oh my god, it's 64. That's a nod to the Nintendo 64. I just think that would have been a funny thing.
I feel, yeah. With the internet these days, I think they would have been mad no matter what the number.
Yeah. It could have come out with a 3 terabyte internal storage and be like, 3 terabytes? That's it? Really?
Yeah. So,
but
nevertheless, 32 gigs is pretty small in today's day and age. The only negative about it is the inevitable GameCube games that come out, and you'll have to digitally download those. That's when I start seeing it as a problem.
Oh yeah. Now what I think
Nintendo really pushes you getting that physical copy.
Yes. Now here's the other thing. Those are just for the retro games, right? Those are for the retro free games. We're not even going to talk, we're not even talking about at the moment. We are going to now the like you said, the virtual console. So you can get games from like the Wii. You can get these bigger games already downloaded, right? So if you want to play a Wii U game for the Wii or on the Nintendo Switch, you're going to have to buy that. You're going to have to buy Super Smash Brothers, what is it? It's not Brawl. It's
Switch version.
Yeah, you're going to have to buy the Switch
Melee.
version. Not Melee. Melee was for the GameCube. Super Smash Bros. Wii U. Okay,
you're talking about that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
So these newer games that you probably won't be able to put your CDs into it because it looks like the games are going to be on SD cards, which is
no, they're pretty much a different version of the 3DS cartridges.
Yeah, so I'm not the biggest fan of that.
My hope later down the line is there's some type of conversion cart that you can plug it into your Switch, your 3DS and DS games into the Switch.
Mm-hmm.
That's just me having high hopes.
But hey, this is a console, not a handheld.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it'll be interesting. The 32 gigabytes, I kind of have a little bit of a worry about because I am an online game. I'm a downloaded gamer. Like, I have a huge virtual library. So, I have a very small shelf of physical games, which I'm changing. Okay? That's just due to me being too lazy to go out to my local game store to get them.
Well, this podcast might just change your outlook on things.
Oh yeah, don't worry. Everything's a lot of stuff has been changed.
So I just want to mention some of the more positives because we've definitely. I feel like we're being pretty impartial about this. We're just stating the facts and then having some positive and negative outlooks on it. But some of the more positive things is it's a global launch, which is fantastic. Everyone's going to get the Switch at the same time, March 3rd, 2017.
Yep. Even though
mark your calendars.
Even though. Time zones and stuff, so it's going to be unfair to us.
Oh, stop being so...
I'm kidding.
I'm kidding. The third-party support's coming back. That's clear.
Which is great because of games like Skyrim. When I seen that Skyrim was going to be out for Nintendo Switch, I was immediately blown away.
A lot of people are excited about that. The negative aspect of that is, of course... it's a 4-year-old game, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, but they just remade it. They just remade it.
EA is back, which is huge for the Switch.
Great.
A lot of people in the States were pissed off. It's like, oh, FIFA, I don't care, it's soccer. Well, okay, you're in America. Get over yourself.
Yeah.
Soccer's the most, or better yet, football is the most popular sport in the world. That is going to sell like hotcakes.
And so is Madden, like American football. That'll sell really well on the Nintendo Switch too for the people who do get it. Will Madden be
on the Switch? That'll be that hasn't been confirmed. But
I could see it
NBA
happening.
2K is going to be.
So if NBA 2K is going to be and FIFA, why wouldn't Madden? It's all EA, right? I mean, it's all different people who develop the game.
2K is different. But
2K is different,
nonetheless. The sports game are coming. That's great for the third party support. Square Enix is involved
as always.
You got excited. I don't see Final Fantasy 15 come to the Switch, but there will be other games, and I love me some Square Enix.
Oh yeah, same here.
But how many third parties are going to be involved? Nintendo's got to build those relationships back up again.
Yeah, Nintendo's really had a hard time back with dating all the way back to the Wii to try to get that third party because and the thing that I've always wanted Nintendo to do was make a console that could compete graphically with the generation that's coming out.
And they're there now.
They are there now. But and it looks like it's going to improve. That's great. But my problem is now they're releasing a next generation console with graphics that are meeting what came out with the PS4 and the Xbox One. Now I know we said this is children when the Super Nintendo came out, but I can't see it getting any better than where we already are. We're using.
Well, I bring up this argument all the time when you bring up graphics with Nintendo.
Yeah.
When the Nintendo 64 came out and you had the PlayStation and the Saturn, the PlayStation and the Saturn were miles above the N64 graphics.
Absolutely.
Because let's face it, the N64 was a blocky mess.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Nintendo's been no stranger to being behind the even when the Super Nintendo came out. That came out a few years after the Mega Drive Genesis.
Now, but here's the thing this is why I don't crack down on Nintendo for graphics as much as I would with say and I don't even crack down on graphics. So this is me being again a fair gamer. I will give Nintendo the credit because they've always had such a unique art style for all their games. But now what they're doing is they're taking their unique art style and bringing them up to date with the graphics we have now. So it's really incredible to see the likes of Super Mario running around the city. It's incredible.
Well, we'll get into Mario.
Yeah, we're
later.
gonna get it. We're gonna get into that. That's its own little niche thing there. But it's just incredible to see that they're coming out with their own art style and they're making it better. And I'm really happy to see that. And I keep bringing up these things up from the games, but Breath of the Wild is taking the awesomeness that it looked like with Twilight Princess, be it the cartoonishness with Wind Waker and Skyward Sword.
It definitely looks like a good Zelda game.
So that's why I'm really excited to see how these games are released with these graphics that the Switch is going to be able to use. Because like I said, Nintendo's always had their own unique art style.
Yeah, well, let's get into the games then.
Oh yes,
I think I think we've hit all the aspects that we can over the hardware. I do want to mention that that a lot of people are complaining about the size of the controller.
How big is the size of the controller? It's got to be about the same size as the Wii U pad, isn't it? Maybe not a little bit smaller.
Well, I'm talking about the Joy-Con controller itself.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they did.
A lot of people are kind of not too excited about the size of that.
They kind of look like the size of the nunchucks from the Wii.
Yeah, but even when you connect it to the Joy-Con grip, because the Joy-Cons connect as a controller itself, so you can hold it, easier. They're I mean, it's almost like they're made for tiny little Asian hands.
Well, I mean, this was directly
a lot of the Westerners, right? Big bad Americans are gonna be, holy crap, this thing's really small for them.
I could easily see Nintendo being strong-armed into making an XL version, just like they did with the 3DS. They're gonna make a 3DS XL.
Yeah,
I can see them easily making the Joy-Con XL. Let's just call it that for now.
Yeah.
I can easily see them doing something like that because Americans be like, this is too big for my fat meat hooks.
This is too small for them, yeah.
Small, yeah. It's just too small for my meat hooks.
Luckily, straps are going to come with the console.
Okay.
Console packaging. And the straps have a little peripheral that hooks onto the side of the Joy-Con separately, so it's easier to hold just the Joy-Con.
Okay.
So you can get those L and R buttons easier. So that's a good positive about that. But they're still pretty small.
Yeah. I mean, the games are going to be small anyway. Because realistically, it looks like Nintendo's trying to aim this more towards their own Japanese customers, as well as younger gamers. Because I think they kind of realize
50% of their revenue is from North America.
Yeah.
Just from what I pulled up over their Wii U sales, about 50% of it is North America. Only about I want to say 40% is America. 40% was Asian countries, and then 20% was Europe.
Yeah. So
because PlayStation just wrecks Europe.
Oh my gosh.
It wrecks it. When I was living over there, I didn't know a single person with an Xbox console.
Yeah, Xbox is geared definitely towards North America, easily.
It's a North American powerhouse in that aspect.
Yeah.
But okay, enough about the hardware.
Yeah. Let's get into the game, shall we?
Let's take a quick break, and then we can break down some of the games that we've seen on the Nintendo Direct.
Sounds good. Hello, everybody. Welcome back.
Welcome back, Josh. We're going to talk about games.
I love talking about games.
Are these games? Are the Nintendo Direct Switch games brought to you by anything?
Yes, they are brought to you by Dasani, your local water proprietor. We're your local water proprietor. Make sure you drink well.
How many calories does it have?
Fresh water. I don't know. Actually,
okay.
really quickly, sorry to take away from this. I seen a video on Facebook. It was actually about Dasani water, and it was -0. It was -0. Wow, look at me go. I don't know what the temperature was. This happened in Michigan. It was like 13 Fahrenheit. Okay.
Okay.
So I don't know what that is in Celsius, but
That's below
for
zero
you
in
Americans and
Celsius.
everyone, yeah, it's definitely below zero. It's definitely I'm gonna say like maybe -5. I don't know. But it was 13 degrees Celsius, and everything water was frozen. Everything was frozen except for the water in the Dasani water bottles or Aquafina or something like that.
You know what? That actually reminds me of a story. I used to go to college in Houghton, Michigan, which is on the south side of Lake Superior. It snows like 180 inches on average a year or something bat crazy.
Just
do
normal shit.
you know the Freezy Pops?
Yes.
You know, they're like little liquids, and then you put them in the freezer and they freeze.
Yep.
It was -25 degrees Fahrenheit one day.
Oh my god.
And the Freezy Pops wouldn't freeze.
You know what?
They were out there for hours, and we're just looking at them. They're not freezing, guys.
I had this one time.
My car battery froze, but the Freezy Pops wouldn't.
That's messed up. That's like I had something similar to that. I had my little brother and I. We used to get like ice cream sandwiches from like a corner store.
Right.
But for some reason, I don't know why, our little kid brains were like, "Mom cannot find out we had these. She cannot find out." So we would put them in the snowbanks so we can get them for school the next day. We'd come back and they were melted.
Oh my god!
In a snowbank.
Maybe the snow was compacting the heat then.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. But anyways,
these are video
games.
Thermoscience.
But these aren't video games. Let's talk video games.
Let's talk video games. We had to take a little break. The direct presentation went a little long. We went over the positives and negatives over the hardware and what we see. Mm-hmm. But Josh, you got a list of games. I got a list of games that's coming out for the Switch. You want to go one by one?
Let's. Maybe we should go 1 by 2. Anyways, first,
I see what you did there.
First game was the 1-2 Switch. It's gonna come out at $80 Canadian, which is nice, little pricey.
Are you kidding me?
For technically a Wii Sports demo, basically a fun-looking Wii Sports demo, $80 seems a little steep.
I don't think anyone's gonna buy this game.
I think
if it was up to me, this should have been a pack-in game.
Exactly, just like Wii Sports was.
Yeah.
So unless you're looking for fun...
I mean, the console's going to sell right away. It's already proving that. But there's no pack-in game, which is really odd.
Yeah, you think they would come with something. But again, it's all marketing ploys. Nintendo needs to scrape any dollar they can.
Yeah.
I get it. It's fine for them, but for us, it's shitty. Why do you want to... Nintendo, why do you want to hurt me like this?
Yeah, I might get 1-2 Switch years down the line when it's $10.
Yeah.
But Nintendo games don't get that low, so let's call it $30 like it would be.
Yeah, I checked on the price on The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess for the Wii. It was still $60, and I looked it up a few months ago.
Yeah, Nintendo games do not deteriorate in price. Not really. But this game 1-2 Switch is a tech demo. It's
basically Wii Sports.
It's exactly what Wii Sports was for the Wii when that came out. It's utilizing all of the aspects of the controller. We saw kind of some quick draw game. I showed you before we started the podcast a dude milking cow udders.
Yeah, that was
that has to be part of 1-2 Switch.
Yeah, that was definitely a little weird to watch.
Oh,
the guy was the cow hat, man. The cow hat made it just oh my god.
So I could totally see this game being a crazy fun multiplayer party game, just like Wii Sports absolutely. Was and is. But God, I can also but Jesus Christ, $80?
I can also see them coming out. Hopefully, they kind of switch it up, and they do make it a pack-in game.
Whoa! I'm gonna have to take a deep breath after that one.
Right? Damn! Hit you with the good old 1-2. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you need to snap when you do that too.
Oh, sorry. We're gonna Switch it up.
There you go.
But I can see them easily not changing their minds, but making it like an included thing, like a bundle. But that's not really.
Maybe when the holidays roll around and another certain game comes out, it'll be part of that.
Yeah,
like a Black Friday thing. Yeah.
Yeah. But even if they did sell it as a startup bundle on release day, it's not going to compare to the likes of the Mario game, Mario Odyssey, or The Legend of Zelda. They're not going to compare at all.
Right.
I think it looks like a really, really, really fun game, and I would love to play this game easily. But that price point, like, I bought Bloodborne for that price.
Yeah, no joke. That's, man. It's gonna. I just don't see 1-2 Switch doing well, and they're gonna realize that on launch day. This is a launch title, and I'm afraid no one's gonna buy this game.
I don't know. I think it'll have decent sales.
Well, speaking of a game that no one's probably gonna buy, is the next one.
Arms.
Arms.
This is silly. I mean, I get that they want to include the whole fighting aspect, to really include the how dynamic the two controllers can be on their own. But my question now is, why didn't they just put it into 1-2 Switch? Then they maybe could have justified the price. I still don't think it would have been worth it. But if you're going to have a game just based off of punching things, that's kind of silly. Right?
This game, Arms, is a fighting game in which these characters have springs for arms. Hence the title. I mean, it's fine. It looks like a fun... It's a gimmicky Nintendo type game. It's gimmicky. It's another utilization of the technology. To me, it's just another tech demo game. Kind of like what we've seen with PlayStation VR. A lot of the games are mostly just tech demos. Developers are trying to figure it out. It looks fun, but you have to buy another set of Joy-Cons to play with somebody. So you're not just buying the game. You have to throw in another $100 for this game.
Now, I could easily see this being one of those online games that could be played where you can fight other players.
Oh, it most definitely will be.
But here's the thing. The online might be broken, so you won't be able to fight anybody.
Oh, I guarantee it's going to be broken. You're not going to be able... You're not going to have any luck with that.
Now, I think... Now, bear with me here.
Okay.
I'm sure you probably think the same way. They could have easily made a Punch-Out game.
Oh, absolutely. I brought that up in my notes beforehand. Yeah. So it's a total miss. It's a total miss. They could have done that, but hey. It's not... They could easily still make the game like that. They could easily still do stuff like that, or even Double Dragon. They can easily do those fighting games. Oh, man. Could you imagine Punch-Out or Double Dragon... where you're using the Joy-Cons, and if you make the down motion with the Joy-Cons, the character ducks?
Yeah. I think it'd be even incredible
left
for
and
games
right, and you're moving his shoulders left and right, dodging the punches. The possibilities. Yeah. That's why I'm saying that they really missed out on a kind of Punch-Out game, but that's kind of what Arms is.
And they could even do something... I think they could have easily done something with like a Street Fighter type aspect, where you actually have to make the motion to, let's say, do the Hadouken.
Yeah.
Right?
So we may not be excited about Arms, but we're excited over
the possibilities.
The possibility over the games that could come of this.
Exactly.
It's almost like they tested what they can do with this game for Punch-Out or a Street Fighter or a Double Dragon later.
Yeah. So like you said, this is basically a tech demo. It's a better version of Wii Boxing. But the biggest thing is, like you said, if you want to play with someone, they either better be bringing their own controller, because I sure as hell am not paying another $100 for another freaking Joy-Con.
Oh man, it does have split screen capabilities, and it also has switch to switch capability.
So it's perfect.
So that in that aspect, it's great. But someone else needs to have the Switch, the game.
Yeah. Exactly. So
our next game is what we expected: ports of the Wii U.
Yeah.
We didn't see in the presentation. It was later. We saw it in kind of a quick little short 2-second video of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Edition. Yep. You can guarantee we're gonna see probably Smash Wii U at some point ported over with extra characters, probably maybe more stages. But the one I want to bring up is Splatoon 2.
Man, Splatoon 1 looked freaking awesome. Now,
It's
like I said,
really fun game.
I didn't have the Wii U. Okay, so I missed out on a lot of the games like that. But I watched the Splatoon thing on your channel, and you sold the game to me, sir. I'll give you that. Over the internet handshake, you sold me that game. But Splatoon looks incredible, and Splatoon 2 looks like it'll build on what was already great about the game and be even better.
Yeah,
I honestly am looking forward to something
more guns,
less silly.
more levels. They have incorporated like super upgrades to the guns. Mm-hmm. There's going to be local multiplayer, which is fantastic.
Hopefully,
a pro control.
It's good for
no. It definitely has the local
it's good
multiplayer.
For us. It's good for us because
yeah.
we live in bigger cities.
Yep. So that's going to be great. What I'm kind of worried about, and this will sell the game for me, is if there's a single player like the first one. I loved the single player adventure, and it wasn't even a major part of the game. Mm-hmm. If there's a single player, again, a new story mode, quote unquote, I will be getting Splatoon 2 because it is a solid sequel. It's not just a port. It is a sequel.
Yeah. No,
do you think they missed out on calling it Splatoon?
They definitely did. Just like with Left 4 Dead.
Oh, yeah.
Right? They had the 4. Left 4 Dead. Or Fear. They switched the E to a 3, so it's for 3R.
But
right?
here's the thing. I mean, I make the joke just because Westerners would get it. Nobody
in Japan.
Nobody in Asia or Europe would be able to... it doesn't work in their respective languages.
No,
the play on
not
words.
At all.
That's why, well, Left 4 Dead's a Microsoft production.
Exactly.
So North America, that's why you got the 4. It makes sense. So, exactly. I don't know. They could have had a different box art for North America for Splatoon.
I could see them doing something like that, but that costs money, and then that would bring the cost up for the already expensive games that we're getting.
Because all it is changing art.
Yes, but listen, JD.
Okay.
This is marketing. Nothing's fair.
You're right.
Right?
Well, speaking of marketing, how about the most marketable Nintendo character?
Super Mario, my friend.
He's back.
We're one step ahead of the game. And I don't know how I feel about this game. Right? It looks like Mario 64 mixed with Grand Theft Auto. Well, not as violent. Not as violent. Can you imagine?
I would say it's Mario 64, but Sonic Adventure.
Yes, actually, I seen a video again on Facebook, and it was somebody saying when they saw the Odyssey, this is the only thing they could think of. And as the trailer for Odyssey was playing, they had the music. Yeah, they had the music from Sonic, Sonic Adventures. They had it on the overplay, and over top of that, I was like, "Oh God, no!"
Oh, it's so bad. It's so bad.
My God.
Why? Sonic Adventure was okay, but it didn't work. The levels worked, but the hub world didn't work.
Yeah, see, I loved the game, even no matter how bad it was. Okay, I loved it, but that fucking game was awful. Okay,
it's a rough go, man.
It was, but still, Mario Adventure looks like it's going to do really well because it doesn't. It expands on what really should have happened in games like Sonic Adventures, where you can explore the alleyways, you can explore the rooftops, you can explore.
They really tried to do that in Sonic 06.
Yes,
but man, it didn't work.
No, God, no.
So
let's be realistic here. Sonic is
luckily Sonic is Sega. Mario is Nintendo. So the game isn't going to be broken.
Yeah,
it's going to be a solid game.
Yep. No, absolutely, and it looks like he travels to different planets, right? At least I've seen like some kind of different, it's like kind of spaceship kind of thing.
Quote from Nintendo during the presentation: Mario journeys to an unknown world that might as well be anime.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah.
Yeah.
No, it definitely looks really interesting. There was a lot of fun, there was a lot of different things I'd seen on there. It was really interesting. First one I'd like to talk about is the Pimp Bowser.
Oh my god. He's so
Man,
Pimp Bowser's here. When did Bowser become the best Mario character?
I know, that's what I'm saying, man. Oh man, I seen that and I couldn't help but laugh. I had to pause it. It looked so silly. And then when he threw his hat, I was like, oh my god, he's Oddjob.
Mario using his hat's going to be a brand new mechanic. See, that's what makes the Mario games so great.
It's always been like something like that.
It's almost the hat's a different character in itself, and that's going to be fun. The use where he's jumping from the building, throws his hat out, and jumps on the hat. Looks great. It's incredibly.
I think it's a great mechanic, and Nintendo's always been great with their Mario games for adding new mechanics and letting the players have fun with them.
Yeah,
and then incorporating somehow in later on games.
I may not be a fan of the New York City overworld, but everything else about the game looks so much fun.
I mean, I don't know. It's definitely interesting. It's weird to see how small he is in accordance to the other people that walk around.
Well, he's in an unknown world. He's traveling to a different one. So I don't know. I guess it makes sense. He's way different, and the people are like, "What the hell are you?"
Yeah, like I just thought it was really silly because like first thing I seen was a taxi. I was like, "Wait, what? I thought this was Super Mario." And then I seen him jump out of a sewer grate, and I was like, "Holy shit! Mario's one of those big rats that live in New York City."
If Mario makes a screeching car sound when he stops on a dime, I'm gonna lose my mind.
I think that would be hilarious, and that's one of the quirks that it needs to have. However, after a while, it would get annoying.
Maybe it's just in the New York hub area.
Yeah. You just hear him go,
So this game's going to come out this holiday season in 2017. It's going to fly off the shelves.
Oh, man. It's going to be a bundle. It's going to be a bundle. That's
absolutely. It. And Splatoon 2, we didn't mention this, is slated for a summer release.
Yeah. Which is not good. I don't think it'll be a bundle.
I don't think that's going to be a bundle either, but you can tell what they're doing. They're spacing the games out.
I can see them definitely coming out with something over the holiday season as well, with Splatoon included, but it's not a bundle. It'll be like, let's say, Super Mario Adventure with Splatoon 2 on it.
I like how you're calling it Mario Adventure.
Well,
instead of Mario Odyssey, I will call it Mario Adventure until it comes out probably as well.
Sorry, yeah. So Mario Odyssey comes out with Splatoon 2 included in the bundle.
I could see that happening.
Like how they did with
I see 1-2 Switch, as we said earlier, being a more likely possibility.
Yeah. So if they were to do something like that, it would they definitely bundle these two games together.
Yeah. Well, we've gone over the platformers.
Now let's get into the oh boy, my favorite
what do you think of all of the RPGs that's coming out for the Switch?
Oh my god, I'm really looking forward to it. As everybody knows, I'm a huge I love RPGs. They're what I
love them too. For. And the fact that this is a console on the go, and and for those who don't know, I travel a lot for work.
A lot.
I am constantly in airports, middle of nowhere areas of Canada and North America. I don't know if you've ever been to North Dakota.
No.
Or Northern Alberta.
No.
Don't do it.
I don't plan to, man, honestly.
But all these RPGs we're about to go through are coming out on the Switch, and I'm going to lose my mind. Josh, take it away.
Xenoblade 2.
Oh, dude. Oh, I think I just need new pants.
Xenoblade Chronicles was already such an incredible game, but Xenoblade 2, oh my god, I cannot. The game was announced 2 days ago, and I already won it yesterday.
I don't see this game coming out anytime soon.
No, God, no. It's going to be one of those Kingdom Hearts teasers.
Along with a couple others, but
they're definitely gonna stretch it along like they did with Kingdom Hearts 2 or 3. Sorry,
is Nintendo? They're really, really good at setting the hype.
They're other than maybe you know what, Xbox is really good at this too. Microsoft really good at this too. But I would have to say they're probably the best for building up hype for games and for things like this. They
literally showed us nothing.
This game looks beautiful in an animated way, which is what Xenoblade was all about, obviously. Right. But this game looks like it could be on par with some Final Fantasy games.
It's going to be up there.
Definitely.
What I'm not excited about, just from a fan perspective, is Fire Emblem Warriors.
Yeah, you see, I wasn't really a huge fan of the Zelda Warriors either.
Yeah, Hyrule Warriors. It's I think it's Muso. I think that's what it's called.
Now, don't get me wrong. It was a fun game, and I know there's a lot of people who really love that game. Take my cousin, for example.
A lot of people love the Hyrule Warriors. You get to be all the Zelda characters, and you're fighting. It's Dynasty Warriors with Zelda, and they're going to do the Dynasty Warriors with Fire Emblem characters now.
It's super cool. It's a great idea.
There's a massive amount of characters in Fire Emblem. I personally won't be buying this game because I played Dynasty Warriors on the PS2. They're all the same. I don't need any more of that.
As I was about to say, those games, they're super fun and they're incredible. But like, it's in the long run, it's just another Dynasty Warriors game.
It's a button masher. Go kill these guys, do a special move. Go kill these guys, do a special move. Next level.
Exactly.
It's not my style, but a lot of Japan's gonna go crazy over the game.
Exactly.
When I saw Fire Emblem, I was like, oh my god, because I was convinced. No, Fate's like literally just came out. We're not gonna get a Fire Emblem game for a long time. And then they had the theme music, they had the gems going on the shield, and I would go, no way, are we already getting another Fire Emblem game? And then,
for the Switch, nonetheless, I could have easily seen them doing something where like they had the worldwide combat like they did in Final Fantasy 15. I could see them doing something like that. That'd be awesome. So, especially knowing now that it's doable, like the technology's there. Yeah, the technology's there. What the positive I'll take from this is, looks like we'll be getting a legit Fire Emblem game somewhere down the line. Who knows when that'll happen, but it seems like it will. But Xenoblade 2, man. What do you? Yeah, Xenoblade. We could talk about Xenoblade all day, but we got to get over to the next one. What do you think of the next game? Shin Megami Tensei. Now, I didn't actually play a lot of these games. This is more or less an Alex thing. But Shin Megami Tensei, it looks like it's going to be a game that could easily boost a lot of sales because Shin Megami Tensei games are so huge as it is. They're definitely huge in Asia. Persona 5's on the horizon. So the fact that the Tensei series here is Nintendo exclusive, I mean, that's people are gonna buy the Switch just for that game. It's more exclusive IP. Every game we've mentioned here is exclusive to the Nintendo. Yeah, it's crazy. I'm excited. I'll be keeping my eye on SMT here, and I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, it's really. I haven't played them, but do they ever look incredible? I've heard nothing but good things about these games. Well, you can easily grab yourself a Persona 3 or Persona 4 on the Vita, or get an old PS2 copy. They're fantastic. They're long games. That's a side game, I guess you could say, of the SMT series. And SMT's not too popular in the States. But no, I mean, we'll see what happens with this one. In the States. Yeah, no, for sure. We'll see what happens. What about the next one? Man, okay. This one's getting a lot of positive feedback, actually. Now, the Octopath Traveler, it looks... I don't know. It looks like it's going to be a good game. It's from the people who did the Bravely series, okay? Yeah, so the Bravely Default, Bravely Second, stuff like that. Yeah, it looks... So, fun fact about the Bravely Default guys. There's basically a group of guys who work on side projects for Square Enix. Mm-hmm. Square Enix goes, make old school RPGs and let's see what happened. And that's how these guys at Bravely Default came to be. So the fact that... Have you played the 3DS Bravely Defaults? I have, only for a little bit though, and they were interesting. The whole thing with the whole Brave and the defaulting, it was really interesting. So so this Project Octopath Traveler, it has promise. That's for sure. It does have promise. But again, who knows when it's going to come out? Mm-hmm. But to me, it just kind of looks like another one of those old school RPGs that are come out, and they're just going to be exactly that. It's just an old school RPG kind of thing. Yeah. So I don't think, I mean, for people who love that stuff, now don't get me wrong, I love Square Enix and basically everything Square Enix, okay? So I could see myself getting this kind of a game I don't think, just from the trailer and from playing what I have of Bravely Default, I don't think I'm going to be too heavily inclined to go out and get this game. It's not going to be on my to get list right away. Yeah. Okay. It's definitely going to be a collectible, not a collectible, but it's definitely going to be a game to get, but it's not going to be something I'm going to go out of my way to get, you know?
Yeah, you're not wrong. I could see it being like a kind of a cult classic kind of game immediately. But speaking of cult classic,
the Skyrim's
like confirmed.
I said, I was really surprised when they said Skyrim was going to come out, which is great because that means Bethesda is already backing Nintendo as a third-party supporter. Yep. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of Bethesda, but I know so many people who are. But the fact that they're coming out with Skyrim leads me to believe that Fallout 4 is on its way.
Oh, I doubt it. So I wanted to bring this up. I wanted to bring this up because even though Skyrim's coming and Bethesda's backing, From Software is also backing. Does this mean that Dark Souls 3 is going to come to the Switch? Does this mean that Battlefield 1 is going to come to the Switch? You know, just because EA is involved. I think that's who made Battlefield. EA.
I'm not sure.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Nintendo won't have these games. They're too violent. That's not what Nintendo is. Get over it.
No, I agree. I 100% agree.
But then again, it's not like Skyrim is a saint game. I know there's like brothel sections in the game, so...
Yeah, so that leads me to believe, like, the whole Skyrim's out there. Xenoblade isn't exactly a fluffy game, right?
But it's anime style.
Of course.
And it's Japan, so...
Yeah, that's true, but even still,
I'm not going to hold out hope.
I'd like to be optimistic about it, but I mean, I'm not going to get them anyway because I'm not a huge Bethesda fan. But I think it's really interesting that games like this are coming out because now it's really good for those third-party supporters to be like, hey, if they release Skyrim, and it's probably going to be the updated version too, the remake they just came out with.
It absolutely will be.
So that's incredible news for the Nintendo Switch. Yeah. This is exactly what Nintendo needed.
The negative aspect, a lot of people was like, okay, great, Bethesda, but where's my first person shooters? Well, if you want first person shooters, you don't buy a Nintendo.
No, but with the first person shooters with the Switch, it could definitely be an interesting thing.
It could be. I mean, with these third parties slowly coming back into Nintendo's fold, who knows?
I think it'll be definitely interesting. There's definitely things they could do, but. Let's keep that as a thing for now.
Well, speaking of the third parties, FIFA's coming back, so that's going to be great. We mentioned that earlier. Let's talk about the game that we really want to talk about.
Yeah, the game that everybody's really wants to listen to. The game that everyone's been, everybody's been waiting for. Not so long as certain games, but ever since it was announced, 2-3 years ago now?
It's been a while.
Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, okay? Now, they've already released not gameplay. I think they have released some gameplay. But regardless, they released in-game footage of this game, and everybody's already been hooked. Ugh. I'm hooked, and I don't even have the Switch. I don't even know anything about it. Gorgeous. It's an amazing game, and I can't wait. It's going to combat a lot of the stuff that I believe was wrong in the other games. It's going to, with the whole Wind Waker, there was nothing to do while you're in the ocean. There's really nothing, which is a damn shame because Wind Waker is one of my favorite ones. But
it's my favorite Zelda as well.
It's going to combat the problem with Ocarina of Time, where there was nothing in this huge overworld. There was nothing there. But at the same time, they can't overcrowd it because then they're going to have a problem with you can't even walk 3 steps without being attacked by something, right?
Right, and frame rate issues and whatnot. Yeah. So the game looks great. The adventure. I'm already hooked on the whole plot that was revealed.
I'm already really I haven't looked up the plot, and honestly, I might the way I like to play these games. I do the same thing with movies and books. I don't look up anything. I don't watch any trailers. I watch like a few trailers and stuff so I can kind of get it. But like I'm going to this game totally blind.
Oh, you're gonna be very happy about the story. It's very enticing from what they've shown so far.
I had gotten a message from Johnny. He's another guy that's on Power Chord. He's like, "Oh, there's definitely going to be a romance between Zelda and Link," and I was like, "Well, it kind of already is, but I mean, now I know that the story is really going to build up on the romance and it's going to give a lot of Zelda players what they really wanted." with between Zelda and Link.
Oh, the shipping is in full swing now.
Oh yeah,
if they don't kiss in this new game, I might riot.
There's gonna be riots.
I might riot. I might become a Montreal Canadiens fan just to riot.
Yeah, or we could be like Vancouver when they almost won the Stanley Cup.
Canadian hockey jokes.
Oh boy. But yeah, no, this game looks incredible. I'm really excited. Not even for the storyline, but the possibility of exploration.
Dumpsters will be lit on fire.
Oh yeah, but like the possibility of exploration in this game. How the guy was it Miyamoto that said you can go anywhere in this game?
Yep.
Yeah, Shigeru Miyamoto was like, you would see those mountains over there, you can go. See that river over there, you can go. That lake, if you can get to the bottom of the lake, you can get there. But
it's for gamers, it's nothing new in modern gaming, but for Nintendo, it is.
Oh, absolutely. Which is what makes The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild I'm so
glad
unique.
They didn't rush this game.
Oh no! If they would have rushed it and brought it up for the Wii U, it would have not been a finished game. You could have told it was a rushed, clunky, unfinished game.
I would have. I always say this. I would rather a game be continually pushed back until release,
it's done,
instead of what we got with what's a good example. Street Fighter V is a great example.
Oh my god!
The game was basically
because it's so expensive.
It wasn't even a game when it came out. It was rushed. Mm-hmm. Half the characters weren't available. There wasn't even a story mode. There's no arcade mode. So the fact that we have that aspect of modern gaming, and then now we have Zelda being pushed back, a full year and a half, and that's fine. It's gonna pay off in the end. And the fact that it's a launch title.
Yeah, so that's even better. I can easily see, I already think it's been announced. This would be a great bundle to get.
It was announced in the presentation at the very end.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
An easy bundle to get. This is either you get this bundle or you get the 1-2 Switch bundle.
So
right? And everybody who plays Nintendo basically pretty much loves the shit out of anything Zelda. You put a Z on anything. That's right, Z. You put a Z on anything Nintendo and everybody automatically assumes Zelda. Hey, no, listen. We're gonna get real. We're gonna get real up in here, real.
Okay.
Anyways, but yeah, you put a Z on anything, and everybody automatically assume it's Zelda. You put 3 triangles, then you have to be in the shape of the Triforce. You put 3 triangles on anything that's a package from Nintendo, everybody's gonna assume it's Zelda.
It's great that it's at launch. It's a console seller. It's one of those games.
It's gonna be one of those games that could, like I said,
did you know? Here's a fun fact.
Oh, go ahead.
Did you know the Master Edition? The Zelda Master Edition, Breath of the Wild.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Sold out. It's $120 United States dollar.
Yep.
It's like $160 for Canadian, so I'm like, not getting that.
Yeah, it's just
it's
I like
sold
Zelda,
out within
but
an
not
hour.
that much. Oh, I can believe it. It came with some really cool stuff.
So it comes with a coin, a map, a statue of the sword.
Yep.
Music CD. And
that map is going to be huge.
And a Switch Zelda carrying case, which is really cool. I like that part.
That map, I'm more interested in the map and the coin, to be honest.
Really?
The map, the coin, like the collectible stuff, the stuff that doesn't, like, the music CDs, whatever. I'm going to be playing the game. I'm already going to hear the music. I don't really care about the CD. The carrying case, it's kind of just whatever. It's kind of just to show off. Like,
it's a console to go, man. You need a carrying case.
It's a bragging rights. That's all it is. It's bragging rights. Look what I got. I spent an extra $100 than you. So I don't know. I think the sword would be cool because they really like statues and like statuesque type things. The coin would be fucking awesome because I love. It's gonna sound silly, but I like to flipping coins. It's fun. It's interesting. Flipping coins is something to do. It's not.
Okay,
I don't sit here. Heads you live, tails you die. Oh, but man. Yeah, I don't know. I think that'd be a cool thing to have. Be like what is it? Not the Sheik eye. The
Majora's Mask.
No, the eye. That Sheik has on her chest.
Oh, okay.
That the eye or tails, whatever the heck they use for tails. Let's just say it's the Triforce. Heads you die, heads whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But that map is going to be so freaking useful. Like I have.
It even tells a story on the back
guide
of Calamity Ganon.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm actually really interested to see how this game turns out.
So Josh, really now the question is, did you pre-order Zelda Breath of the Wild?
No. I haven't actually gone to get my pre-orders yet, only because there's a few things going on. Not gonna lie, there's a few things going on.
So you're telling me you didn't pre-order a Switch?
Not at the moment of release. No.
So, are you waiting for maybe the summer to roll around and maybe they have a pack-in?
Well, I'm not so much waiting for a pack-in. There's a few issues that I have.
Or is it kind of financial reasons and whatnot?
Financial reasons, okay. Real life issues right now. So, it's not so much that I didn't want to get it right away, because the moment I found out that the Switch was released, I messaged you. I said, rip to my wallet. My wallet's dead.
Yeah.
March 13th, done.
Yeah, because you and I have to save about $500.
Yeah, just to get the game,
just to get
Switch,
a game and
plus
the
the
Switch.
game itself.
Yeah.
Not to mention the bundle that'll probably come in.
Yeah, it's
so. And
it's a rough go for Canadians.
If it's gonna come in the bundle, I could see it easily having like the Wii U version for the Wind Waker, how it has like the designs on it.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
I could see them doing something like that for the Breath of the Wild bundle. I could see them doing something like that. So as a bundle, it might be $500 to $600 for Canadians.
I'm excited.
But you know what? It'll be worth it.
So
it'll be worth it.
For those who don't know, if you tried pre-ordering a Switch online,
there
were three. Oh God, they started at 9:00. EB Games, Best Buy, GameStop. America got to pre-order theirs like very early in the morning, basically right after the presentation was done. Lucky them. Yep. For those of us in Canada, we had to wait at 9:00 in the morning.
Yeah.
And EB Games website crashed naturally. Best Buy sold out within, I think it was 30 seconds.
Oh,
Switch pre-orders.
I believe it.
EB Games sold out in 10 minutes, but because it was crashing, if you couldn't even, like myself, the pre-order button never even showed up.
Yeah, I believe it.
It was broken. So I was like, shit, did I miss out on a pre-order? Luckily, all I had to do was go to the store physically and pre-order, and no problem. It seems that most EB Games and GameStops are having about 60 pre-orders per store.
Okay. So what you're saying is I'm not going to be able to get a pre-order.
I would definitely call before you head over there.
Absolutely.
And I already paid for half of Zelda, half of the Switch.
So are they releasing it as a bundle or no?
No, you have to buy them separate.
That's kind of silly. You figured they would. Oh yeah,
well. There's no bundle at launch. Again, that goes into why even 1-2 Switch wasn't part of it as a pack-in.
Yeah.
You know, even selling it like $320 or $345. It's odd.
Yeah, I mean, but hey, you know what? It's good for it's a numbers thing in the long run, I suppose.
But we digest. This has gone on for quite some time. We got some retro games to talk about. I do want to mention one thing, Josh.
Yep.
And this is what sold me on pre-ordering a Switch. Because Dragon Quest XI isn't confirmed for launch.
Yeah.
There's no release date on it. It's sometime in 2017. I'm going to get that game. It's going to happen.
Oh,
I'm a huge Dragon Quest fan.
Dragon Quest is an incredible game. And it's really incredible looking at the games that are going to be coming out for this game. And the West hasn't gotten a
Dragon Quest game since Dragon Quest VIII on the PS2.
Yeah,
it's been a long time.
Anything by Akira Toriyama will get eaten alive. And not in a bad way. It will get eaten alive by anybody in Western culture.
It's wild.
Everybody loves Dragon Ball Z. Everybody loves it. Which is actually why I'm like just looking at the games that are going to come out. Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 is going to be on there. Which is great. Which means Bandai Namco.
Even Steep, the Ubisoft Extreme Winter Sports game, that's coming out on the Switch. Now, when are all these games coming out? This is when, to finish up, a lot of people are complaining about the launch window. It's Zelda, and that's it.
Yeah, basically.
That's what everyone's looking at.
Super Bomberman R?
I will get into that. It's 1-2 Switch and Zelda, pretty much. That's it.
Yeah.
Now, what sold me was, because I don't know about you, if I buy a console, I want to get at least a couple games.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm like, man, I can wait for Zelda. I don't have to get it right away. But
exactly, yeah.
When it was revealed that a game like Super Bomberman R is going to be a launch title, I went, well, there's my other game. Perfect.
Yeah, that's it. Right there.
Because even
Zelda
if Dragon Quest
Super
was a
Bomberman
launch
R.
title, I was like, oh man, do I really want 2 RPGs?
Mm-hmm.
But when Super Bomberman, we haven't gotten a new Bomberman game in quite some time. And this looks like a ton of fun. I'm like, I love Bomberman. It looks fantastic. It has 2-player co-op in a story mode. Why would I not get this game?
Yeah.
Especially as a retro gaming fan, Bomberman's right there.
Oh yeah, Bomberman was super fun to play as a child.
Oh, it's hard. It's so hard too at the same time.
Oh my god, is it hard? I'd rather play Dig Dug. That's how hard it was.
we might have to.
Dug was hard.
You know what? We might have to play a Bomberman game for the Retrocast.
Absolutely, man.
So, I'll be getting Zelda. That's pre-ordered. I'll be getting Bomberman R.
Man, there's a lot of good games that are going to come out for this thing. I'm surprised actually really quickly that Mario Kart 8 Deluxe isn't coming out as a launch title.
Yeah,
it's coming out on April 28th.
Well, I mean, it's a launch window. So you play Zelda for a month and then you play some Mario Kart.
But then a lot of these
how
people,
they're releasing the games is definitely, we could go on and on for sure.
Yeah.
The window that they're releasing, a lot of people are very negative about it. Mm-hmm. I think it's a good business decision. How much money do people really have? If there were 10 games at launch, how many would you actually get? 1, maybe 2?
Well, it depends, right? Because the games are going to be really expensive. If 1-2 Switch is any indicator of what the game prices are going to be,
yeah.
So I guess it makes sense.
The fact that they're spacing out each title on a month by month basis, Mario coming out for the holidays is clearly their marketing strategy for selling the console for Christmas, etc. It's good business. Simple as that. That's the way I look at it.
Absolutely.
As a gamer, sure, I would love to have all the games right away, but I don't have hundreds of dollars just to devote to just Nintendo games.
Oh, of course.
I have bills to pay. You know, some people have families. Maybe they got to pay their heat this month. It's a good business decision from Nintendo, spacing the games out.
Absolutely. No,
that's just that's my aspect on it. I would love to have them all at the come out at the same time, so they're there. The possibility of getting it's there, but we live in the real world. You can't get everything you want.
Now, really quickly before we get into the main topic of the game, or not the game, of this podcast, what do you think about them releasing Sega ports? Like, for example, they have Puyo Puyo Tetris. They have Project Sonic 2017 that's been announced.
Oh, I'm really excited. I'm a big Sega fan. I love Sega. Most of their games are different. They're published and developed by Sega internally, so it's either a complete miss or they're fun. Puyo Puyo Tetris has been out for a few years now on PS4 in Japan, and the fact that it's coming to the Switch is going to be a lot of fun. I'll probably end up getting that game actually.
Exactly. Like, I know Sonic Mania is coming out, but that's basically a port of the old games.
Yeah, it's a love child to the old style. I'm more looking forward to Project Sonic 2017, see what that is. The rumor is it's going to be Sonic Generations 2, which I'd be totally fine with. I love Generations.
Okay.
Sega being a part of Nintendo is ironically a good partnership.
Yeah, and especially for all the, since
something
Sega isn't going to do it,
something we couldn't
Nintendo's got to do it. Looks like it's looked like they Nintendo.
Yeah, Nintendo want to work with Sega these days.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, what do you say we take another break and move on to our main topic, which is space and all the retro games we played for the theme.
Sounds good.
All right.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back. We finished our break, and now we're going to carry on with our main topic of our podcast. This week is going to be about space. JD, do you want to explain to our listeners how we're going to come across our topics for every podcast?
Sure. So, first of all, no single person is going to pick the theme twice, unless we go through quite a bit. We're going to kind of go round robin on who. We hope to have Keith and Alec here, but they unfortunately couldn't make it today due to their own personal lives and whatnot. But that's okay. You and I can carry this alone, no problem.
Oh yeah, it's been fine so far.
I think it's been better. I mean, we're two amazing people.
Oh, absolutely.
So basically,
only unparalleled by our Let's Play skills, of course.
Oh, that naturally. No one's as good as us.
Oh no, come on now. Let's be realistic here.
So the rule is the game cannot be younger than 15 years old. That is the rule. That's what we're considering retro. A lot of people would say it's 20 years old, but I consider that antique territory.
Fair enough.
That's okay. So 15 years or older is how we can choose a game. I think we're going to tend to not choose games earlier than the NES days. Mm-hmm. Just from what people are accustomed to, and no one really plays ColecoVision anymore, for example, or Atari games.
Yeah, and if they do, well then,
good for them.
On you, mate. Good on you, mate.
And we're going to pick about 5-6 games per theme, and this week's theme is space. And we came to this kind of a group decision on this one, since it's the first one. Mm-hmm. That Star Wars came out in December. It's kind of a big deal these days. And
that's probably one of the biggest deals, especially since it's owned by Disney.
Yeah, I've heard of it. I hear it's popular.
Yeah, I mean, I heard it's a pretty big franchise.
Yeah. So, and then Mass Effect Andromeda is coming out on the horizon, and a lot of people are stoked on that game and the series, and I hope that this theme of space can kind of emphasize on all those things that are happening right now.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't played any of those games, but I mean, I seen the trailer for it, and it looks pretty good. I know Keith is really excited for it. He's played them, so
yeah. I've only played the second one myself, and that seems to be the consensus on the most popular and best game.
Yeah, which is surprising because usually a lot of people like the first ones better than they do the sequels.
Well, I mean, there is a case when the sequel does it better. It's everything the first game had, but everything's more refined. Things are added, better graphics, etc., etc.
Oh, absolutely.
So yeah,
we're gonna get right into the first game. The first game we had chosen was Super Metroid. That was the pick that I had made. Now, I hadn't actually played this game before we did this podcast.
Oh wow!
So it was definitely extremely interesting to play these older games because I hadn't played half of them. I hadn't played Super Metroid. I haven't played, well, like I said, I haven't played half of them. I don't want to ruin the list already.
Yeah, no spoilers just yet.
Yeah, no spoilers just yet. No, so our first game that we picked was Super Metroid. It was made by Intelligent Systems and published by Nintendo, developed by Research and Development 1. I'm not quite sure if they developed any other games. I forgot to look into that.
So Research and Development 1 is kind of a subsidiary of Nintendo itself. Mm-hmm. As far as I can tell.
Kind of like how Game Freak is with Pokemon.
Yeah, right? Yeah, exactly.
Yep. So the system was for the Super Nintendo, and it was released in North America in April 18th, 1994. I know it was released in Japan sometime in March, but that doesn't matter. It has to come out to us, right?
I mean, if you say so.
So that's when the game was released. The game itself focuses a lot on platforming as the Mario games do, as well as the exploration from Zelda, where you have to search for the power-ups, the ball, the missiles, everything like that. But it really has a lot of emphasis on non-linear gameplay, which I found interesting.
Yeah, you didn't really see a lot of that even back then. Everything was basically left to right.
Yeah, left to right. I mean, there was a few up and down, but for the most part, you didn't really see a lot of non-linear games. Because like this one, you can go. Well, I mean, it was linear for the most part. You had to get certain power-ups to get to certain areas, which is understandable. But once you had all that, you could still. The game isn't on rails, as I like to put it. It's not like, for your Final Fantasy 13 where you walk straight, follow the path, right? It's not like that game. So I thought it was really interesting. The only thing I had problems with myself was getting used to the diagonal up and down aiming at first. And I had the hardest time trying to figure out how to use the missiles. I couldn't figure it out. It took me the longest time.
So what's the story of this game?
Okay, well, the story is Samus. What ends up happening is this is a sequel, okay, for another Samus game that was on the NES. She's on a planet. I don't remember what the planet was called. I think it's like SR-866 or something like that, something silly. But regardless, she finds this Metroid larva that's hatched from an egg, and then immediately it takes onto her. It believes that it's her mother. So what she does is she brings this Metroid back to the Ceres space colony, where they can harness the power, and then they find out that the Metroid itself can power the whole like cities, everything like that. Mm-hmm. But just as she's leaving, she gets a distress call, or she receives a distress call. Just as, and it says, right as I was leaving the asteroid belt, she receives a distress call from the scientists that she just left Ceres space colony.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. It's almost immediately things happen.
Yeah. Yeah, and they were attacked by space pirates. You go there, you go back, everyone's dead. Everything's gone to shit, and Ridley's there, and he takes the Metroid.
So who's Ridley?
I'm not sure.
For
Ridley is a dragon. Ridley is a giant dragon type thing, leader of the space pirates.
See, I always saw Ridley as this wild, mechanical-esque pterodactyl thing.
Yeah. Actually, it was really funny. He has another alias on the Geoform 187, or his other aliases are Geoform 187 and the Cunning God of Death.
I didn't know that.
So yeah, that was it. He's a dragon alien. He's a dragon alien. That's what all he is.
Right.
So, but he's the leader of the space pirates, or she. I'm gonna say it because I don't really know, and I don't want to offend anybody, of course. So what happens? Samus ends up getting away from the Ceres space station, which end up self-destructing, and follows Ridley to this planet called Zebes, where then she's got to look for the stolen larva in all these caves that she finds out was the space pirates had rebuilt, and then they rebuilt their base because she destroyed it in the last game.
Right. So the original Metroid actually came out 10 years prior to this on the NES. That's wild.
Which is why I'm really looking forward to seeing. Not just Metroid Prime, because we did get Metroid Prime, but I'm looking for hopefully another Metroid game comes out for the Switch.
We'll see. We will see.
I think that'd be really interesting.
But it's so crazy because the original Metroid was really popular, and like you said, it's not just left to right.
No,
and the fact that it took 10 years for this game to come out is remarkable. Now, I did read that the developers decided to wait a bit longer and get more used to the Super Nintendo and its capabilities.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like it was pushed back on purpose. There was a method to it, apparently.
Mm-hmm. That's just so they wanted to, like I said, they wanted to learn how to handle the programming more, right? They wanted to make sure they had the technology to make one of these games. And because they waited such a long time, and this is a quote from my cousin on his channel over on Dirtbag Gaming. He says that it was received as one of the best Super Nintendo games that was released ever because of how wide open it was and how well it handled. This game handles a lot better than half of the games I have on my PS4. Like even just the grappling beam itself worked so well.
Oh, the gameplay and controls are fantastic. Like it was crisp. You mentioned that it took a while for you to get the hang on the shooting in 8 directions, such as up, left, and upright, and even down, left, and down, right. I didn't find it that difficult because you can use the L and R to make that a lot easier in shooting. So the R would end up shooting up and right, up, left, and upright, and then the L button automatically shoots it down. In a diagonal form.
When I didn't have an issue, right? It wasn't that hard. Like it took me a few minutes. It didn't take me an hour, like half an hour to figure it out. It took me a few minutes to be like, oh, this is a little different. Okay, I think I got it. So it didn't take me forever to figure it out. It just took a little bit to get used to it. Because I wasn't used to something like that in a Super Nintendo game.
Yeah, I actually can agree with that. It does take a bit to get the hang on the controls, but luckily that very first level, how the game opens up, really teaches you all the controls without telling you how to do any of them. And I think the game does this very well. You get your first suit upgrade, which puts you in the ball form, and you have to figure out how to get out of there.
Yeah, and that took me a few minutes as well. And then I was like, oh wait, just press down twice. There we go.
Yeah,
I'm out.
So that was really cool. One thing I'd like to note, Josh, is the game actually opens up with voice narration.
Yeah, that was incredible. For a Super Nintendo game, I thought that was amazing.
But it doesn't say Super Metroid. It actually says Metroid 3.
Yeah, which I think I didn't look too much into that. I think it was just simply because, same thing how we didn't get Xenoblade 1. We got Xenoblade Chronicles, right?
Well, actually, Metroid 2 came out on the Game Boy.
Okay, so
even this game takes place directly after that game.
Exactly. So that's why I think they call it Super Metroid, not only because it come up for the Super Nintendo, but it also probably sounds a little better than just Metroid 3.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
That's just theory crafting, I suppose. But I also found out that this is Super Metroid was one of the largest Super Nintendo games of its time.
Oh, really? I mean, yeah, I know it's a big game, but I didn't know it was that big.
It was released on a 24-bit cartridge, 24 megabit cartridge, making it the largest Super Nintendo game of its time.
What were the average Super Nintendo cart size? What were they, 8 megs?
I'd have to
4 megs, maybe
8. I'm not sure. I just looked up. I looked up some notes. Right. I didn't play too many I didn't play too much Super Nintendo because that game they were starting to phase out when I was really getting into gaming. Right?
That makes sense. Yeah. Well, for you anyways. I grew up in the heart of the Super Nintendo, and I had a few friends that had this game, and I think I was a little too young for it because much like Legend of the Zelda, you end up wandering and getting lost. You really have to. I remember seeing one of my friends actually making his own map, like drawing it out, so he wouldn't have to keep looking at the map in the game.
That reminds me of having to always go back and, let's say for like games like Grand Theft Auto, where I would always write all my cheat codes down.
Yeah, I remember that. I
always had to make sure I have those.
Would you? Yeah. How many bosses did you get to?
I ended up beating 2 of them. I didn't get too far. I'm going to beat the game really soon, but no, it was incredible. I honestly, it was super fun. It was super fun. I would honestly recommend this to everybody, and after this, I'm actually going to go play it. So,
one of my favorite things I noticed while playing the game, and it's been a long time since I played this. This was really nice to go back and stick my hands deep into the game. Mm-hmm. Was whenever you meet a boss, because there's only 4 bosses you have to beat before you get to your encounter with Ridley, and what I noticed is each boss seems to control a section of the base. Mm-hmm. And for example, the first boss you get to is a boss called Spore Spawn. It's this plant creature, and everything's like green and viney in the area. But then once you beat it, everything turns brown and into stone. And
like everything kind of dies in the air.
Everything kind of dies. That's really cool. I really like that aspect about the game. You'll see that even more so as the game continues and how each boss affects the area more and more. I thought that was so awesome. I couldn't believe it. I was like, man, I don't remember this as a kid. But now that I'm older, I'm like noticing a lot of these little details.
Yeah, that's one of those things you never really notice when you were younger, right?
Right. What did you think of the save system? I really liked it myself.
The save system was really nice. I had a few issues on my thing. I actually wasn't able to save, so I had to play the game constantly, so I actually have to start over again.
Oh, so maybe the save battery's no good in your game anymore. It was the battery. That's very possible.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I've heard of things like this happening, and obviously it's happening because it's happening to me, but like I was not able to save, So
Oh, bummer.
I've had to start the game over a few times, but I mean, that only added to my mastery.
Yeah, you'll be able to beat sections of the game that much quicker.
Oh yeah, it's incredible. Like I said, I recommend this game to anybody who wants to get into the Metroid games, even if you want to just know more about Samus. Samus, I think, is my favorite female and protagonist.
Well, here's the thing, Josh. People didn't know Samus was a woman back then. It was all kind of hints and speculation.
Mm-hmm.
If when you die, the death animation has the suit kind of exploding, and it quote unquote reveals a womanly shape, but it's not 100% for sure. So people had theories back then. I remember arguing with my friends, like, "Oh, Samus is a woman. What the hell?" You know, because people were kind of angry back then about, being a woman protagonist. And go,
yeah. I mean, I myself as a kid never really cared. I mean, the game is the game, right? But I could see where some people would be. Everyone wants to be the macho, Solid Snake-esque type superhero, right?
Yeah, and
Everybody
games
wants to
were
be that
made
kind of character.
for boys. Or at least, at least in my opinion, that's what it was back then. Nowadays, it's more for everybody, I feel.
Yeah.
Did you know this was one of the first games that offered an in-game map?
Really?
Yeah, I thought that because I'm playing it and I'm thinking to myself, I really don't know many other games that have a map like this other than the Zelda games.
Yeah, I was gonna say I know the Zelda games too.
But here's the thing: this one only reveals the map to places you've been, or when you find the area map that you download. Mm-hmm. So it was so cool.
Even just a small feature like that really can make a game. But like even back then, when you had games that didn't have it, you never thought anything of it.
No, it just never occurred to you. The other thing I liked was the youth of the health system and how it wasn't just you have 100% health or you have one hit death life. It's utilized by this quote unquote energy power of Samus's suit, and you gain energy back from defeating enemies, and they reveal they leave behind like little purple spheres, and that's how you gain your energy back. And then throughout the level or the game, you find E-tanks, which increases your health above 100%. And that really makes another aspect. So it kind of, there's like areas you meet in the game where you're kind of forced to go in lava, for example, and it just deteriorates your health really quick, and you're like, crap, I lost 1 peg of health, because that's kind of what it turns into. Really wild. The other thing was how the music really sets the mood in this.
Oh yeah, no, the music was great, especially when you first fired up this game, that it was going to be a totally different style of game that not a lot of people have played before, because everyone's pretty much used to, like, let's say your Super Marios and your Legend of Zeldas. They got really bright music and stuff like that. I just thought it was really interesting because the game was a little bit darker, a little bit more mysterious, and the music really did reflect that. It really helped. It really brought the atmosphere out of the game.
It really did. And I don't know if you've played the original at all, but this is basically the same music from that game, just in 16-bit form, more or less.
Huh. Nice.
Yeah. Because I was playing this game, I was like, man, I want to see what the first one's like. And it's like, the music sounds extremely similar. So it really keeps the mood from game to game. Too cool. Now, here's some fun facts for you, Josh.
Sure.
Since this game is around our theme space, how much Alien movie and H.R. Geiger references were you able to point out?
I actually wasn't able to point out any. Okay. Now listen, internet. I don't need you guys to crucify me, okay? But I don't know. I haven't seen anything. You say H.R. Geiger?
H.R. Geiger. I say Geiger.
So I don't even know what that is, in all honesty.
So H.R. Geiger was the originator of the Alien series in book form, okay. and then the movie Alien came out based on those writings. And you know the main character in Alien. What's her name?
Oh shit, I can't remember her name. I know who she is though.
It's Ridley.
Oh great, well there it is.
So there's
Perfect.
one. How about the...
See, that just goes to show you how much I don't remember about Alien at all.
How about the fact that Ridley looks like an alien from Alien?
I was gonna say that, you know,
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't think about that.
Or the fact that when you finally do come across a Metroid, they start latching onto your face and head, just like the xenomorphs in the movie Aliens.
Oh yeah.
So a lot of cool things like that. I was like, wow, okay, they really didn't beat around the bush too much. They got a lot of inspiration from it, so I really like it.
Yeah, they weren't trying to hide that. I also found out, this is a nice little another fun fact, that, like I said, is described as one of the greatest video games of all time, but the game did actually not sell well in Japan.
What?
Yeah, of all the places, Japan did not. It did the best in North America.
Really? Well, I guess maybe
But
the alien thing really had something
the
to do
alien
with it.
thing, aliens in space, right? Because at this time, a lot of North America wasn't really into the whole RPG thing yet.
Oh, that's true. That is true.
So that's you know, that's my take on it. But I thought that was really interesting for a Nintendo game to not have sold well in Japan at all.
Wow. There's one other control aspect I'd like to touch on before we move on to our next game.
Absolutely.
Did you know you can enable what's called the moonwalk ability, which
The moonwalk ability.
I've never tried this before until playing the game for the podcast.
Okay.
It allows you to shoot and walk backwards simultaneously.
Wait, what?
Yeah, you go into options and there's an option for controls that says enable the moonwalk ability.
Oh, wow.
So you begin shooting and then you can just walk backwards.
Huh,
Very useful
interesting.
when fighting certain bosses.
I'll have to
And
keep that in
yeah,
mind
it's
when
a
I turn the game back on.
really cool mechanic. It's some people like keeping it off because the moonwalk ability kind of makes the game a little bit easier, so it puts the difficulty not as high. But I really liked it.
Okay.
Nothing was cooler to me than fighting. There's this boss called Crocomire.
Okay.
And it's coming at you. It has the creepy music, the screams, and you're slowly being backed into a wall. But the fact that you're moonwalking backwards and shooting at the same time really gives you that. It gave me that impending doom, like, oh my god, if I don't shoot fast enough or good enough, he's gonna corner me. So I was like, no, he's walking backwards. Am I gonna make it in time?
Yeah, no, that's yeah, man. It's silly that even just not silly, but just music honestly can do that to at a scenario in a game, and that's why I love music in games so much.
It is great. I highly recommend this game too. I'm totally sold on it yet again.
Well, like I said, not only is it one of the most enjoyable games that I've played ever, but it's also regarded as one of the best games of all time. So what does that tell you? That the internet agrees on something.
No way.
Yeah. All right. So on to the next one. We are going on to the next game. This was picked by JD. We're going to talk about...
No, this was picked by Keith.
Oh, yeah. No, it was picked by Keith. But yeah, okay. He wasn't able to... Yeah, sorry. I forgot. My bad.
How dare you?
I lied
but
to everybody.
I will make up where he is not.
Yes. So the next game we're going to talk about is Earthworm Jim. And now here's where it gets interesting. We played different versions, am I correct?
We did. So, if you don't mind,
Go ahead.
it was developed by Shiny Entertainment and published by Playmates Interactive Entertainment. Basically, this is all they did.
Yeah. I couldn't really see much else that they done.
Yeah, the genre is a platformer or run and gun, depending on how you play the game.
Mm-hmm.
It was released in 1994 on the Super Nintendo and the Sega Genesis, with many ports later, such as the Game Gear and whatnot.
I actually found out they put it onto the PlayStation Store as well.
Later on, they did. So,
Yeah.
but at the time, it was Super Nintendo and Genesis. So this was one of the games that was a big argument, at least when I was growing up, of which version is better. A big console war debate goes on.
Back when it actually mattered.
Oh, it still matters, but that's for another podcast.
Yeah.
So the story is simple, but it's really goofy. You're an earthworm named Jim,
typical.
as the name implies, and you're just a regular worm until a wild like alien suit falls down and allows him to become basically a superhero, with the suit becoming his body. And he basically just evades enemies the entire game, trying to get this suit from him. And then also save a princess. And this is where the humor is in the game. The princess's actual name is called What's Her Name?
Yeah, Princess What's Her Name.
Yeah, oh, it was so good.
Now, I knew I was in for a good time when one of the first things you had to do. Well, one of the first things that happened to me was I couldn't kill anything. I couldn't. I messaged JD at 3 a.m. while playing this game. I said, JD, this game is so fucking hard. I can't beat the first enemy. I can't kill the crow without taking so much damage. And then the goddamn dog, when you have to go across the first chain, I couldn't do it. I eventually ended up doing it, but I knew I was in for a good time when the first thing you had to do was launch a cow with a refrigerator.
Oh, isn't that great?
Which is actually really important. It was really important. I didn't think it was that important.
It continues throughout the game. You see it kind of flying across levels every once in a while, going moo. Like, why is the cow still here? Well, let's go over the controls first, since you say it's pretty hard. I can definitely agree with that. Jim has a gun that's basically an Uzi, but he doesn't control it very well. It kind of just sprays in all directions, kind of.
Yeah.
And you have a maximum amount of bullets you can hold, and you just fly through them if you just overuse the gun. Then
it was ridiculous. Yeah. I was tearing through bullets like no problem.
So you got to kind of utilize the bullets sparingly at first until you kind of get a handle on it, and then the other weapon you have is just his head, the head itself. He picks his head off his suit body and uses it like a whip. So it can.
I love that. I loved it so much.
Oh, it's so funny. It just makes this crack sound.
Yeah, it was great.
And getting the swing ability using the whip takes a lot of practice.
Oh my god!
I can't tell you how many times I've missed hooks just to get from platform to platform. Thank God these levels aren't timed.
Oh, thank God. There's one. There's the hook thing where the first thing that I got freaking stuck on was there's this conveyor belt. Okay.
Yep.
And I got stuck there because I did not know that you had to climb the conveyor belt.
That's the one with all the trash like falling down on it, and then you just kind of awkwardly climb up in this cartoony form.
Yeah, and you like kind of float up it. So I got stuck at that for a bit, but once I passed that, I noticed there was something like shiny on the top of the screen. And that was my first experience with the whips, with the hook swing.
I gotcha.
And there was two. You could take it and you pick up more bullets, so like a super blaster thing, which I thought was really cool. Although I accidentally wasted it.
So it's good to use those blasters in areas in which it's hard to jump to. So like you said, there's one jump where you have to hit where a dog's in your way. And the dogs are real cartoony, rabid type forms. It's quite funny. The teeth are as big as their bodies.
Yeah, and they have like the foam coming out of their mouth. No, this game was definitely made in mind of keeping all the 90s like TV tropes and, you know, all the pop culture. They definitely crammed as much of it in there 90s. As they could.
In Canada, did you have Nickelodeon?
Yes.
Okay. Did you ever see Rocko's Modern Life?
Yep.
Or Ren and Stimpy?
Yeah.
That's what this game reminds me of.
Those shows were definitely not for children, by the way. I don't care what anybody says.
No, they weren't, but I still watched them. I didn't get any of the jokes.
No, but that's what makes it for children, because nobody gets it.
So the other thing, I don't know if you learned how to do this, but you can use his worm head as a helicopter to slowly descend parts of the level. Yeah, that kind
of bothered me at first, because I couldn't figure out how to get it to work. And I didn't really see the use of it other than kind of like a little slow fall. But you have to press the button like 3 times for it to start.
Yeah, it's kind of finicky in that sense. They really fixed it in the sequel, which is something I actually own. I didn't have to borrow from a friend.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, this was tough to find. This was really tough to find.
It's $40 still on either the Genesis or the Super Nintendo.
Well, regardless of it being $40, I just had one hell of a time. Like, I had to go to like 7 different game stores just to find it.
It's not an easy game to find. It's very popular, that's for sure, and I can see why. The humor is amazing. The levels aren't the same. Every single one's incredibly different from each other, and it's not just getting from point A to point B from just one end of the level to the other. Sometimes later in the game you have to help get a dog across unharmed, and if he gets hit too many times, he will then harm you.
Yeah.
Most levels end with a boss battle of some kind, and let me tell you, these boss names are ridiculous.
Oh, I love it. I love them.
Queen Slug for a butt, Evil the cat, Bob the goldfish,
Bob the killer, yeah. Major Mucus, the best one, Professor Monkey for a head. And the best part about that was every time Earthworm Jim would see Professor Monkey for a head, he would laugh every time. And I thought that was such a great thing to put into the game. He'll laugh. He'll laugh his ass off. I love it.
Now, one thing I didn't like was the fact that after each stage you have to do this annoying racing level in space called Anti-Asteroids.
Yep.
And you're fighting an enemy called Psychro. Just irritating. You know, the first time you do it, you think it's a novelty, just like the rest of the game, but it's after every single level.
Oh boy.
And if you don't beat Anti-Asteroid in this race, you have to fight Anti-Asteroid. Or if you don't beat Psychro in the race, you end up having to fight him. And it's just a pain. I really didn't enjoy it after, like, the first time it was fine, and then every time after that I was like, this is just a chore.
Yeah, it's getting old now.
Yeah.
It's like traveling in a lot of old games. It's like, hey, walk to this city, do this. Walk back to this city, do this. Walk back. You know, it's something like that. I mean, at first few times it's great, but after a while it kind of loses its novelty.
It was. I really didn't. That's my one gripe about the game. The controls are a bit floaty, but that's okay. I was able to get a handle on it. What I didn't like was the level Heck. It's this lava level.
Heck? Okay.
Too many bottomless pits. Drove me insane.
Especially with how he controls. Like, he controls well for the most part, but like you said, the game's a little flowy. It's like trying to control Luigi's jump in Mario Bros. In Super Mario Bros.
It's so bad.
Or whichever game
I
he got,
really
the Super Mario World or no?
I really despise this level. You're basically on this because he travels kind of planet to planet, hence the Anti-Asteroids level. And even though the boss is awesome, I love Evil the Cat. It's actually a recurring villain, and there's actually a cartoon show that came out with the show, and Evil the Cat's part of it.
Okay.
But this lava level, man, there are these stupid green crystals that you have to run on, and I just constantly fell off them. Just, it would be so lucky if I would actually get them to work properly. It's so bad. I hate it. The other thing is, midway, each level kind of has a mid boss. Like you said, the very first one's this like wild trash can.
Yeah,
and
which I thought was the end boss. I thought that was the boss of the.
It's
of the level
so hard
at first.
It's so hard. I have many friends that love the game, but they can't even get past the trash can because what happens is, if the boss hits you or something, it regains full health.
Does it?
It does, and that's what makes it so hard. So if you, when the trash can enemy pops its head up, quote unquote, that's when you fire at him, and that's the only way to kill him. But if he hits you, he takes your health away and replenishes all of his health.
Wow, that's incredible.
I'm so glad we didn't see that for the rest of the game.
Yeah, no, I know I was having a problem with it too. The only problem, I didn't know he regenerated all of his health. I just knew that he would go into this thing where he would go down to, like, I would call it car mode. He gets down on all of his tires and then runs towards you, and then he gets up and throws you up in the air.
Yeah, that
was the only
I
part
believe
that
that's
I
the move
with.
where he replenishes your health if he hits you.
And I just had the hardest time with that. So all I did to combat that was I shot the shit out of him. I just kicked the shit out of him.
And hopefully you get him. Hopefully you kill him.
Yeah.
It's a tough for a first quote unquote boss in the game. What's even worse is on this lava level that I hate so much. The mid boss is this snowman, which is kind of ironic because everything's hot red hot lava, and you
I
have
love
to
it.
fight a snowman, so it's kind of funny. Right after you beat the snowman's not hard by any means, but right after, there's generally boss fights in the game, there's 100% health somewhere near that point, so you get to replenish all your health. This game health is through a percentage, and you essentially replenish by getting these like floating electrons over the level.
They look like they look like the atoms. Yeah,
there's this 100% health right after the second this snowman boss, and it's actually a freaking trap.
Oh,
if you get this,
is it?
Stalactites and the level just starts falling apart. Evil Cat shows up and just kicks the shit out of you.
Oh boy,
it's game over. I was like, what is happening here? I was like, what if I don't get this? What if I just don't get this item? Because it seems to happen every time I get this item. You miss the item, the rest of the level's more or less a breeze until you fight Evil the Cat.
Okay.
Oh, I raged at that level. A level that most people rage at, however, is a level called Down the Tubes.
Okay.
Where you're in this kind of this pod race underwater, and you have to, and you're timed because your air's depleting. So in the second half of this level, you're really on a time crunch, and if you don't really know where the air replenishes are, if you hit sides too hard, you'll break the pod, or you'll just run out of time. And
oh boy,
this is the point where I remember as a kid, all of my friends just quitting the game.
I don't blame them, especially as a kid. Like, you don't want to work. It's a video game. You don't want to try that hard, especially as a child. I mean, some kids, I would have tried it over and over again, but I would have given up on it eventually myself.
Like, thank God there are checkpoints in this game.
Oh yeah.
If there weren't checkpoints, I don't think I would have lasted nearly as long. But luckily, you can get lives aplenty throughout the game, which makes up for it. And it's just a lot of fun.
No, absolutely. I like the cartoonishness of the game. That's what I think makes this game one of the greater games that came out for the Sega and the Super Nintendo. If it wasn't as nearly as silly, if it wasn't cartoonish as it was, the game would not be as popular as it would be back then and today.
Yeah. So you played the Super Nintendo version, I played the Genesis.
Yes.
Are we going to have a debate on which is the better version?
Listen, we're gonna have to save the debates for another podcast.
Well, for the sake, the music coming off the Genesis for this game is the consensus on being better, but then the graphics on the Super Nintendo are supposedly better on that. So to each his own.
That's typical. I found a lot that to be the case in a lot of Sega and Super Nintendo like game consoles at the same time. Because I was talking to, again, my cousin Jordan on Dirtbag Gaming. He has this game called Bob. That's, again, a space game, which I was surprised none of us came up with.
Well, if Bob the Goldfish isn't in it, I'm not sold.
No, it's not Bob
Best
the
boss
Goldfish.
ever.
It's
best boss ever.
No, Bob is actually is a really, really difficult thing. Actually, I know he's got a review on the game. I'll have to show you that. I'll show you that after.
Okay.
But it's one of his favorite games, and that I'm surprised we didn't do that game for a space game, because that game, I believe, was set deeply ingrained in space. But it came out for both Super Nintendo and Sega, and they had console exclusive items. Now, I don't remember what they were. I've never played it. But he also goes on to say that the Sega version has I think he said like this one part that has better music, but the Super Nintendo played just a little bit better.
Okay.
Due to like the graphics and stuff. I believe that's what it was. You'll have to ask him yourself. I don't quite remember. So.
Well, did you ever find, before we move on to the next game, did you ever find the warp on the first level, which is a toilet?
No, I didn't. I didn't even know there would be warps in this game.
So if you get to the upper left on the first level, and then you go down, so you go all the way to the top left, and you go down one level, there's a toilet, and that's a warp in which you can get to the midpoint of the game and the final boss of the game.
Oh.
Because there's no infinite continues, which screams the difficulty of the game. Because it's hard to get it. This game is not easy by any means.
No, it
takes a lot of practice.
Man, when those crows get on top of you in the first level,
forget it.
basically just whip up. Just use your whip up and hope you get them. Hope you get them. And if they fly away, you better be worried because they're coming back.
Yeah, I was just exploring the first level, and I found it, and I was like, okay, mental note.
I'm gonna have to go back and try that out.
Yeah, it'll make life a lot better. So you won't have to do the first few levels. Really nice for me because I hate that second level so much.
Okay, so we're gonna carry on to our next game. This
that was
one,
Earthworm Jim. Fantastic. I recommend it.
Oh, recommended. 8 out of 10. So the next game is a fan favorite, as well as probably one of the most popular Xbox games. Not 360, Xbox. So the original Xbox. One of the most popular and most well-loved games, as well as one of the most bullshit weapons that I've ever encountered in a first-person shooter outside of the golden gun and Oddjob's hat.
Okay.
We're going to talk about Halo.
All right, Whose pick was this?
This one was Alex's pick. Like we said, unfortunately, Alec and Keith were unable to join us, but this was Alex's pick. And what a great pick. Okay? I freaking loved Halo when it came out. I was absolutely infatuated with the idea of the Master Chief, and even to this day, I am obsessed with knowing what the hell is under his helmet. I want to know what he looks like.
We still don't know?
I think there is a way you can find out. There was apparently a bug where you can, there was a bug where at the end of the game you can kind of control the camera and you can see right underneath his helmet. And you can kind of see what John's face looks like. And I think, don't quote me on this, I think, and I would never be able to do it because I can't play the game on Legendary. If you beat Halo 3 or 4, I don't think it's 3. If you beat Halo, I believe, no, 4 or 5, I can't remember. If you beat one of those games on Legendary mode, and you get like all the skulls and everything like that, he takes his helmet off and talks. Don't quote me on that, I don't know. We're talking about Halo.
Okay.
This game was developed by Bungie Studios, the original developers, not 343, by Bungie, published by Microsoft, and it was released November 15th, 2001. The title is obviously, as everybody knows, a first-person shooter, and it comes with a campaign and probably one of the most intense multiplayers until Call of Duty became a thing.
I will give the game the benefit of the multiplayer is amazing.
Oh, the multiplayer? I played the multiplayer up until 3. Only because that was around when Halo 4, I didn't play much of Halo 4. I've only played half of Halo 4. But that's when I started getting into computer gaming, and I didn't have an Xbox 360 anymore, so I couldn't even play it. But that was also the time when Halo was taken over by 343 Studios.
Right.
So I didn't get to play it. Not saying that they're doing a bad job. I actually think that 343 Studios did a great job with Halo 5.
All right, well, we're talking about the first game.
But we're talking about Halo 1. We're talking about Halo 1 today. The first-person shooter science fiction video game created by Bungie. And it's probably, like I said, one of the most popular games of all time. What do you think?
For its multiplayer, sure. For the story mode, Josh, I gotta disagree with you on this one.
You think so? That's fine. Everybody likes their own different stories. I thought it was great because not only...
Explain the story for me, because the story in itself, on its own, I feel it holds up. It's interesting, but the way it goes about it is what I got a problem with. So let's get the story out of the way here.
Okay, so basically what happens is they find... Okay, so Earth is under attack by the Covenant, or I believe it's the Covenant. Yeah, it's under attack by the Covenant, which is an alliance of aliens.
It's not Earth.
Oh, it's
a ship called the Pillar of Autumn.
The Pillar of Autumn, yeah, but I mean, like, I'm like going back. Like, this is why, right? You start on the Pillar of Autumn, but everything is under a bunch of fuckery because of the Covenant. Okay,
right? Some wild alien race.
Yeah. So basically, the Pillar of Autumn comes out of subspace to find this huge ring called the Halo, which is like this giant powerhouse of energy, which we don't know that yet. We just know, oh, look, pretty ring planet. Right?
Yeah, like, wow, that's a big artifact or whatever.
Yeah, we don't know what the hell that is. So the main character, like I said, Master Chief, he's on the Pillar of Autumn, and the game starts off, testing out your energy shields and, under tutorial.
Yeah, it was a pretty neat way of introducing the player to kind of what the game mechanics are going to be.
Mm-hmm.
I found that pretty good.
Yeah. So what happens is eventually the Covenant attacks the ship, and I thought it was one of I when I first played it, I was under tension, I was suspense, like there was a bunch of feelings going through my mind. It was just incredible. The dark, like the lighting, the gameplay, the seeing these aliens, they come out and attack you, and I wasn't expecting this from a first person shooter game. Not on the Xbox. I just got this goddamn system. So they're fighting the Covenant on the ship on Pillar of Autumn. Because I think they're trying to get Cortana.
So
no, he leaves the ship with Cortana because he has Cortana as his AI.
Yes.
Yeah. The reason why she's so important though is because she carries highly sensitive military information, which would be disastrous if she was taken by the Covenant. Which is another reason why they were looking for her.
Cortana holds basically where Earth is.
Yes.
And that's why the captain initiates the destroy data plan to just self-destruct the ship, and for Cortana to be with Master Chief, which is Master Chief a genetically engineered person or some kind? They don't really explain it in the first game.
See, this is there's a bunch of books, right? And they explain it some more in
or is it the suit that does it?
No, he is a genetically enhanced super soldier. He went through the program. He did go through the program. He's a Spartan, but he's the best one, right?
Okay, because
we have all of
right when you exit, because the first level is getting off of the Pillar of Autumn, and you're in this escape pod with all these other soldiers, and Master Chief is the only one that survives the landing.
Yeah,
which is crazy. Okay, everyone's dead. That's cool.
There's been so many times where he just gets thrown off a ship, and everyone's like, So he's running away. Wild. He's running away trying to protect Cortana because she has all this, all this information. And like you said, they get off the ship he gets off the ship with the Marines, with Cortana telling them where to go. And they end up landing on Halo, and then you go through, and then you figure out the mystery of the Halo, what's going on with the Covenant. You find out about, like, the cartographer, and you find out a bunch of other stuff. I thought it was really cool that there was a mission that's called 343 Guilty Spark.
Right.
And
I didn't get
that was basically
far.
you gotta creep through the swamp to meet the only enemy that the Covenant fear.
Yes. Yeah, because in the ship, the level before... No. It was while you were in you were infiltrating the ship to rescue Captain Keyes. Because the captain gets taken by the Covenant. And then Chief hooks up Cortana to the computer system, and Cortana starts freaking out. And this is where the story... Because before this, the story was, okay, so aliens are attacking, you have to go destroy the ship, all right, okay, go point A to point B. Now, I will say that each new level was interesting.
Yeah. No, they were great. They were...
After playing the level for all of maybe 10 minutes, everything repeats.
Yes.
Which led to getting lost easy. It led to monotony, because then you're just shooting the enemies over and over again in what's essentially the same place you've been, what seems many, many times.
See, now what a lot of people don't seem to understand is, yes, it is a first-person shooter, not a shooter. Not, don't get those confused. It is a first-person shooter, but Halo is very much a story-driven game.
I just wish it went about it quicker, or the levels didn't get so samey. That's what really hurt it for me. Because honestly, I was bored. Each new level, I was very excited. I was like, okay, new story, awesome. I was really into the story, but the levels themselves, I was bored.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. The levels are pretty boring. Like at first, they're really exciting. Like there's one level where you have to go in with a bunch of the UNSC Marines, and you have to snipe out everything. I thought that was awesome. But after a while, it just becomes the same old: go in, try to kill as much things, hide. Go in, try to kill as much of things, hide. That's eventually what the game turned out to be. Which, like, I don't want to take away from Halo, but that's everything first-person shooters are. You run in, kill as much as you can, hide, run in, kill, rinse and repeat.
It did get so rinse and repeaty that, because I was playing the game on hard.
Mm-hmm.
Up until about, I want to say I was 3-4 levels in. And then I was like, okay, I just want to know what's going on here. So I ended up just putting the game on easy so I could run through the levels quicker.
Yeah.
So, and the game does have its difficulty. I will applaud it for that. Because in my experience with first-person shooters such as the Killzone series, it gets pretty simple. You get your gun, you get your upgrades, you shoot the enemies, you're done. In this one, it has a health pack system, which, to my understanding, they actually got rid of in the later games. Yes,
it just becomes just the energy shield.
So the energy shield was a great new idea. As far as I know, it's you see it with this blue bar, and then you have crossed health packs, which represents how many levels of health you have. So kind of similar to a Super Metroid deal, but you don't have to earn them; you just get them.
Yeah, because you had your overshield and plus your health.
Right, but your health was just an extra hit, and holy crap, is that important?
Oh my
Especially
gosh.
on the harder difficulties levels.
Especially when you're playing in multiplayer with your friends.
What irritated me, though, about this health system is, hey, the energy shield's great. You don't get hit for a brief amount of time. It recharges. Fantastic. Now, it's so dependent on this health pack system for the extra levels. The amount of times you see health packs is so rare. And I even tried playing a level on normal, and as I said, I went on easy. The health packs don't get more frequent depending on the level, or less frequent depending on the level if it's harder. It's the same on any difficulty level. The only difference is the enemies have more, you have to pump more bullets into them. And that's where first-person shooters really ruin it for me. You saw it in Destiny. That's a modern game to compare it to, where no matter what difficulty it is, you just got to pump more bullets into it. So it's like, okay, do I even care then?
Yeah, exactly.
It's not like the AI got smarter. It's just you gotta pump more into them. It's
Well, don't get me wrong. Sometimes as the AI did get more intelligent, but the problem was they just became more ballsy. That's it. They became more ballsy. They didn't flank you. They didn't try to be more advantageous over you. They just tried to flank you, and like you said, you just had to shoot them more.
Now now that's not to say they didn't have some sort of AI put into them. Whenever you throw a grenade or something, they do run away from it and jump away. Which, to my knowledge, I'd never played a first-person shooting game or even a third-person which the enemies do that.
I thought it was even better that they'll even scream like "grenade, grenade," or like the grunts. They'd be like, "Oh my God, there's a grenade!"
Now the grunts were fun. They have fun little things that they say the whole time. They run away with their arms flail in the air. Oh God, he's gonna kill us!
Yeah, or like the other one, they'll run towards you and they'll say silly stuff. I like the grunts. The grunts are my favorite, especially
they're pretty funny.
Especially what I thought one of the really cool things was they added a collectible into the game with the skulls.
I never found a single one.
They're pretty tough to find. Like, they're really tough to find.
Never found them. What do they do in this game exactly? Is it just extra stuff, or is it achievements?
Some of them do different things. My favorite, well, yes, they are for the achievements. But my favorite things about them were they added certain little quirks to the game. Like, there was one called Grunt Birthday Party. Now, I don't remember if they had... Yeah, that was called Grunt Birthday Party. Whenever you would headshot a grunt, they would shoot confetti, and you hear kids in the background go, "Yay!"
Oh, come on.
It was really funny. No, it was really funny. But then there was other ones, like there was other skulls, like it would take away your energy shields. It would take away your mini-map. You would have less bullets. Your bullets would do more damage. There was one that's called... hold on a second. I gotta type it out because I can't think of the abbreviation on it.
While you're looking that up, even though I don't like you looking stuff up as we're talking.
No, I'm not looking things up. I had to think of how the abbreviation went.
I gotcha.
It's called... The thing is called IWHBYD or something like that.
Okay.
And it's a joke towards Major Jackson, I think his name is, the black guy in the game, one of the important ones.
Okay, yeah.
I can't remember who it is, but it stands for "I would have been your daddy."
Oh my God, no way. Okay.
Yeah.
For some reason, this game has humor in it, and I found that really out of place, but I did enjoy it.
Yeah, like Major Johnson, that's his name, Major Johnson. One of my favorite things he says, he goes, I would have been your daddy, but let's not get into that.
God.
Or something like that. I thought it was really silly.
Yeah, well, for a game that came out at the time, voice acting isn't something we even saw until, I want to say, the Final Fantasy X era. Mm-hmm. And that's around this time, and, you know, even though the voice acting's pretty weak and bland, it was still there, and I'm like, oh, okay, I can get down with this. Cortana was the only one that had good voice acting. And did you notice when Cortana spoke and the words she used, it was very British.
Huh, I didn't notice that.
Yeah, she has very British mannerisms, and I was like, that can't be on...
I think they did that to attribute to the whole colonialism thing, because...
Well, actually, originally, they were going to get a voice actor from Britain, so they wrote the dialogue to be a British person. But then the voice actress changed, and they just kept the writing the same.
Oh, okay.
So I thought I was like, oh, okay, now it makes sense.
Gotcha.
Because right after you're in the library scene and you're talking to that extremely annoying robot that's humming the whole time.
Yep.
Cortana uses the phrase "sawed off." And I was like, written much?
Yeah.
And that's when I looked it up. I'm like, okay, this character had to be written a certain way, and that's when I found that out.
Interesting. I didn't even notice that.
I want to go over the weapons.
Sure.
So,
the weapons. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
You seem to have some opinions about these.
I'll wait.
I really liked the diversity in the weapons, and they don't give you the strong ones too much. So you do get a grenade launcher eventually. You do get a sniper rifle, you know, and they're kind of according with the levels.
Yeah. You don't just get them willy-nilly.
Right.
You get them for a reason.
Really have to develop a strategy between three main weapons. You got your like AK-47 or whatever. You get your machine gun,
the assault rifle,
which and each weapon has its downside. So the assault rifle, you have to reload ammo. Yeah. You get
it's a great short range weapon, but it bursts really quickly.
You get then a plasma weapon, which runs on a battery. So it's strong, but it you can't refill it. You have to literally drop the weapon.
Which I thought was interesting, the fact that they let you use the alien technology as well as, you know, the regular guns.
Yeah, it was a cool little aspect to it. And then the third weapon is one I didn't really use too much, and that was this green plasma one where it overheats.
Oh, the plasma pistol.
Yeah. One other thing is you didn't see the pistol too much, but why the pistol? Why does that operate very similar to a sniper rifle without a scope?
That's what I wanted to get into. That game made me hate playing multiplayer. So that gun, honestly, whenever I'd play online, I'd say you're not allowed to use pistol. Why not? Because you can use the goddamn pistol as a sniper rifle or a shotgun.
Okay.
You would get the pistol in any mission, and it was the best gun in the game.
I did end up using the pistol over those three other main weapons. I was like, okay, I got a sniper and a pistol. Perfect. Sniper, I can zoom in. Pistol, I don't have to.
Yeah, exactly. I just kind of aim in, I'll get the kill. It doesn't matter.
It was just pop, 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 done. I was like, wow, this seems really strong.
Yeah, no, it was, and
because in any other shooting game that you get the pistol and you're like, okay, it's a throwaway weapon.
Yeah. This one, it's like, man. Oh, screw that. I'm going to throw away this rocket launcher to the pistol. Are you kidding me?
So I would say the turning point in this game, since it's very story-oriented, would be when Cortana learns about what the Covenant is afraid of.
Yes.
When she starts freaking out. So you end up going to the this like underground facility, because it's putting in a story where the Covenant, and it's the Covenant isn't just one alien race. It's multiple alien races.
Yeah.
And they see this giant artifact in space, which we know as Halo, being this religious artifact. Mm-hmm. And when Cortana is put into the computer system, she's like, holy crap, there's something worse. Yeah. And when you go in, you see, you encounter the helmet of a soldier named Jenkins.
Yep.
And you go through the whole spiel of basically a ripoff of Alien, of just the xenomorphs coming out and attacking everything, and you learn it's this alien race called the Flood.
Yeah.
So there's more alien references for you. All the aliens remind me of xenomorph type figures, and the flood is what the movies are afraid of, is the aliens reproducing at that mass rate.
Now, it's really interesting because they go over this in the later games and a lot of the stories. The flood are actually not only, I mean, they're obviously really significant, but they were actually, they've actually been a thing for a long time. It even, when it goes right down, they go to the whole creation of the universe and they go into the lore, like back, like with everything. The flood was actually a huge problem even before the game before this game takes place.
And I still haven't finished the game.
So I'm not going to spoil anything for you.
Don't spoil the ending. I've learned that Halo is this weapon of mass destruction that's essentially the Death Star on crack.
Yes, and it was made by, I can't remember who they are, but they made the library. They were the people who made the library.
Yeah, that wasn't really clear. It was just this ancient race, because there's that moment when you find out the flood exists, and then this robot teleports Master Chief into the library, and I'm like, this is out of place. What just happened?
Yes, so, they really go over that in Halo 5.
Okay.
So if you're really interested in the storyline, you got to play them all.
I'm interested. I have a lot of gripes with the game. I found that there's a ton of glitches, especially with the plasma grenade. It's supposed to stick to enemies, but I found it goes straight through the enemies way too often.
Actually, there's a really fun thing that you can only do in Halo 1. And
Okay.
it's not a glitch. You can make basically your own fireworks. Because the grenades took so long to throw, or took so long to explode, you can throw a plasma grenade and throw another one on top of it. So when the first one explodes, it'll go right up into the air and explode like a firework. I thought that was really interesting.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, the explosions were really cool, but whenever too many enemies came on the screen, especially in that library scene, the frame rate drops hard.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's been the problem with a lot of the older games, was a lot of the frames do drop.
Wow, it's almost like they tried too much in certain sections.
Mm-hmm.
The library was definitely my favorite level at the start, because like I said, once I got so far into a level, you just start seeing the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
Same corridor,
really
same corridor. In the library, specifically, it's this robot humming, and you're just going in a circle, and it's the same circle. Over and over again, get on this elevator, same circle, over and over again, get on the elevator. Hey, you're at the top now.
Yeah.
They could have done that just one time, and I would... excuse me. I would have been just as happy.
No, absolutely. No, the game was done really well. The game is really atmospheric, but like you said, it does get really cut and dry.
The atmosphere is very good, yeah.
I just want to bring up one thing before we go to break and to finish up our little Halo section here. There is a band, okay? And you probably knew this, and I know a lot of listeners might know this. There's a band called Escape the Fate. They actually wrote the song called The Flood, and it was inspired by Halo.
Oh, cool fact. Cool fact.
And the other one, they had another song called This War Is Ours, and it starts off with the music of Halo. I definitely think you should listen to that song.
I've heard of that one. That one's, yeah. I like that one.
Those two songs are inspired by Halo, and I love those songs. So if the listeners, you haven't heard that song, you definitely got to go check those songs out. They don't tell you any of the story, but they're really good songs.
I'm really interested in playing this game in co-op campaign mode, because that is an option, and you just and it's couch co-op. It's none of this online nonsense.
Oh yeah.
So you playing this, I could see myself having a lot more fun, even the levels being samey, if I'm with a friend having a beer and just killing aliens.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
I can imagine that's so much more fun. It's almost like the game was made to be played with friends, and I give it much kudos for that.
Oh yeah, well the only have to think the online wasn't really that popular back when the Xbox came out. It wasn't really until the 360 came out that online gaming became really a thing outside of computers.
Now, the Warthog can go suck it. I hate that thing.
Yeah, I wasn't too big of a fan of it.
Whose bright idea was it to control this thing with dual analog sticks, and the fact that the Warthog controls like it's always on ice?
Yeah, no, it was ridiculous. A lot of vehicles in this game I don't really agree with. I don't mind some of them, but I don't really like the driving in that game. They really fixed it up in Halo 2 and 3, though.
So, my personal opinion over Halo, kind of finishing up, is it's a cheap game. It's $10, like tops.
And if you haven't played it, I'm surprised, because a lot of people have played Halo.
This was the first time I've ever played it.
Seriously?
I've played only multiplayer a few times. I've never played the story mode before.
Well, if you haven't played it, go out, get it. It's really cheap. Or even go on your 360, your Xbox One, you can get them. They have Halo Combat Evolved, which is for the 360. You can get that.
So here's a fact. Here's a couple of facts just to finish up. It's called Combat. It was called Combat Evolve strictly to distinguish it from other first-person shooters at the time.
Yeah.
Which I think was good, because it was just called Halo. But no one calls it Combat Evolved anymore.
No.
And it was originally going to be a real-time strategy game.
Which is what really inspired Halo Wars.
Right. Which a lot of people like and don't like. It's very 50-50. But that's besides the point.
Yeah.
It's
Oh, sorry, no. The remake was called Halo Evolved... Combat Evolved Anniversary. Sorry, not just... Okay.
Right. So, I mean, the game has its ups and downs to me. I do want to finish the story. That's what does it for me.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't see myself going back to this too often unless I play it with a friend. It's
even so, you'd be better off with playing.
It's very repetitive. It's very repetitive. It hurts. So
okay, I believe that wraps up our Halo section. Unless you have something else to say.
No, that covers me.
So the next game that I would like to bring up is actually a game I hadn't played for a long time. I didn't really play too much of it either, but I totally love the developers of this game. Okay.
Go on.
Now, the next game we're going to talk about is StarCraft. StarCraft is probably one of the biggest RTS games out there, aside from, let's say, Age of Empires Civilization. Okay? But I love these developers. It is an RTS. It was made and published by Blizzard Entertainment, and the creators were Chris Metzen and James Finney. And Chris Metzen was also with Blizzard, the people that made World of Warcraft, Diablo, Overwatch, and Hearthstone, and Heroes of the Storm. Those are all their games. Now, I love Blizzard. I am a total Blizzard fanboy, as Keith is with Bethesda. Okay?
Well, this was your pick, Blizzard. And I can totally see why.
This was probably this is probably, I'm going to say, my second favorite RTS game. My first favorite is Age of Empires, but that's not what we're talking about. I loved RTS games, and it was really hard to play when I was first getting into computer games, because I'm only like, so this game came out in 1995 for the PC, as well as on the Nintendo 64, which I don't know when it came out for that.
2000.
It came out in 2000. Okay, so it came out. Sorry, the first release was actually March 31st, 1998.
Yeah.
It began planning in 1995 by Chris Metzen and Finney, which actually, I think I told you, sadly enough, Chris Metzen just retired from Blizzard. And he was also, I believe, the voice of Thrall in World of Warcraft. So I can see him, I don't know, he may have been a voice actor in some of the other, in StarCraft as well. I'm not sure.
I wouldn't know, Josh.
But man, this game, StarCraft was probably, like I said, my second favorite RTS game.
So I'm guessing you played the PC version.
Yes, I played on the PC, and I believe you played on the 64, right?
I played on the Nintendo 64.
So, before going to the computer, what did you think about the 64 version?
Oh boy. Did you know this is a $60 game on the Nintendo 64 today?
$60? It's $15 on the computer.
I know, it's ridiculous. I ended up borrowing this from the same friend that let me borrow it from Jim.
Oh my god.
So it's you're gonna have to go over the story after I kind of actually go over the story now, and then I can kind of go into what my experience playing on a console, which was clearly a PC game.
Okay, so the story focuses on activities of 3 species in this part of the Milky Way. I believe was called the Koprolu sector.
I wouldn't tell you. The N64 version is all in text, and I think it really deteriorates what could be a remarkable story. Okay,
so before any of the events even happen in the game, the species known as the Xel'Naga, they genetically engineered the Protoss and later the Zerg, in attempts to create like the pure Aryan race, kind of pure beings type things, right?
Okay.
But the experiments backfired. And they backfired, and the Xel'Naga were destroyed by the Zerg. So they were destroyed, which I really like the fact they're called the Xel'Naga, because that's kind of like, I see the Naga when I play World of Warcraft, which I still play all the time. Okay. So before the beginning of StarCraft, which I believe takes place in 2499, something silly like that.
Something like that.
The government of Earth, which I believe is the United Earth Directorate, UED, commissions a colonization program as a way to try to solve the overpopulation problem. But like the ships malfunction, propelling these colonists off to this far off edge of space, out of contact with Earth, and they end up forming different factions that kind of maintain their own interests, kind of like.
It reminds me a lot of Halo. Yeah, because this was the first game I played for the podcast, and then I played Halo after this. So when that first part in Halo the story started in Halo, I'm like, wow, this is a lot like StarCraft.
Yeah, no,
I saw a lot of similarities in the storyline.
Yeah, no, StarCraft is one of those games that really helped with like space kind of games. Like, I'm not going to say they're pioneers for it, by no means. Okay, they're not pioneers, but it really helped with a lot of story-driven space games, such as Halo.
Okay.
So these factions are made, and they eventually hold on, I can't exactly remember how it goes.
Basically, what you're saying is the story is incredibly deep.
Yeah, there's way too much story. I ended up
looking up on YouTube a lot of the beginning for the PC, and the graphics at the time was amazing. I was like, holy crap, this is what the story is actually like. I was enthralled in how it's not just one alien race. There's not just like humans fighting an alien and even a evil alien invader. You can be any one of the three alien races, so to say.
Which I loved, which is what I really loved about Blizzard and Chris Metzen. They were able to make these games. They weren't just RTS games. They were stories. They were story-driven video games, which I love in a video game. The fact that you can play as any, even in Warcraft, which is basically the same thing, but, not space. You can play as any of the factions, any of the races or anything, and you can play them, and you can carry out the story, and you can learn all the lore. Which is why anybody playing World of Warcraft, if they want to learn the lore, I tell them to go play Warcraft.
Right. Well, the N64, I'll start getting into what the N64 version is compared to the PC and the differences. Because this is Retrocast. PC is retro, but a lot of it still holds up today. Let's see what I can tell you. The N64 has its ups and downs. So, you just mentioned learning the lore. Well, what the N64 version does is there's an encyclopedia inside. So you can learn a lot of the meanings, the lore, the vocabulary it's going to be used in the game. I ended up looking through this first and foremost so I could understand what's happening. The N64 also has an expansion pack option. And what this does is it enhances the resolution in the game by a lot.
Oh, geez.
It's very noticeable. But the other thing that it does, so it's not just for enhancing the graphics of the N64. It's actually required to play an expansion called the Brood War storyline.
Yep, the Brood Wars, yeah.
And that's actually in the N64 version of the game as long as you have the expansion pack.
So did you get to play the StarCraft Insurrection storyline?
I didn't get that far in the game, but the fact that this is an option just really expands the already high depth that the game has. The single player, I did beat all of the Terran storyline, and I played a little bit of the Zerg and Protoss just to kind of get a gauge on what the game is. There's 6 episodes total, and 10 missions each, right?
Yep.
Plus another 8 for each race. The Terran and Protoss have 8, and 10 extra missions for the Zerg. The game is not small by any means.
No,
I'm actually shocked that the expansion pack isn't required.
Yeah, you think it would be for some game that big, which is surprising because a short game like Majora's Mask needed the expansion pack.
So I was really blown away by immediately just popping the card in, being like, oh my god, this is a lot to take in. So, some issues in the gameplay is you have your mouse cursor as the joystick, which is fairly easy to control, and the select option and commands is utilized by the C buttons. That took a little bit getting used to because it's kind of finicky because you're gonna have to learn the controls your way and get used to it. It took a bit to select the units.
Yeah.
One thing that the N64 does is it actually raised how many units you can select from the PC version. The PC version was a max of 12, and the N64, you could do 18 at a time.
Okay.
So whether that's... I see it as actually a negative. I wish they would have kept it at 12, because the lag in this game is atrocious when too many things start happening. I can only
imagine. Oh, yeah. Especially when you start getting into like huge battles.
The later levels of the Terran storyline was ridiculous. I was like, well, here comes the lag. And you even see the early signs of it, I think, on the third mission. So I learned very quick that the worker units actually, what they do is they mine your minerals and whatnot, your resources in the game.
Yep.
In the N64, it's all automatic. Once they're created, they automatically start mining. While in the PC, wow. I believe you have to tell them what to do.
Yes.
So take that for what it is. I found it useful as a first-timer to the game. I was like, oh, awesome. They'll just do it on their own. There are miners who need to mine. I don't need to tell them to mine. They should mine on their own.
Yeah, no, exactly.
All voice acting has been removed.
Oh, geez, that sucks.
So, because it's all text, the Terrans have this weird, like, Texas accent and drawl they're supposed to have, so reading it was really kind of cringeworthy. Silly. I was like, oh, why? And then much of the text dialogue is shortened for the N64 version. So that's why I said at the beginning, like, what is this plot exactly? Because I'm losing a lot of it in the text.
No, there's way too much to even kind of go into it. Only because when StarCraft first came out, it had 2 additional storylines with it: Insurrection and Brood War.
Yeah, so just losing this main storyline, a lot of it, I was like, man, what am I missing here? Because it seems like I'm missing a lot. And sure enough, when I'm looking up the story from the PC version, I'm like, okay, now things are kind of coming together. I mean, sure, the story does get pretty convoluted from what I experienced with just in the Terran storyline, because there's 3 separate storylines, which I thought was really cool. You got to put them all together to make one solid one. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. No, what makes it even better is not only the fact that there was the 3 storylines plus the games. There's also books written about this. There were freaking books, man.
It's crazy. Yeah, the story is by all means incredibly deep. I noticed the other thing I noticed about all the text is the swearing was either removed or heavily censored to face palming levels.
Oh, jeez.
You can I can't even imagine a Texas accent not saying the word even heck. It was things like bubblegum.
What the
I'm
heck?
not quoting, but it was replaced with just the lamest words you can imagine. There's just so many of them.
Jesus, they really tried to aim this for children, didn't they?
Yeah. And what I thought was weird was when I was doing the Zerg and Protoss storyline, just the beginning, all the campaigns default to the Terran briefing room.
Huh.
I was like, why am I in the same place? This is kind of odd. So a lot of things were sacrificed just to get this on a cart. But like we said, the game is just so huge. I'm shocked that they even got it onto a cart in the first place.
Yeah, like when we were talking about this originally, and you said that there was a Nintendo 64 port, I didn't even believe you at first. I thought it was just some other game called like Star Spacecraft, something silly like that.
No,
right?
as soon as I saw there was an N64 version, I'm like, I think I'm gonna play this one just to gauge a different opinion over it.
Mm-hmm.
Now here's
really interesting.
Here's probably the most annoying part of the game besides the lag. The unit responses are so repetitive that I had to put the game on mute. I could not play the game with any sound on. There's a lot of clicking in this game, and every time you click, just for example, in the Terran storyline, oh yeah, sounds fun. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I'm like, oh my god, my ears are bleeding. I can't do this.
Yeah, no, that's the one takeaway I have from playing RTS is they're not based on voiceovers, right? They're based on the game itself.
Right.
So deck does get annoying. I can feel you on that one. I'm Moose. I feel you.
Yeah. So Josh, those are just some of the gripes I have with it.
Yeah.
And those are the differences between the N64 and the PC version. Let's get into the gameplay.
Oh,
like, let's get into the game itself, the missions.
No, like, I just thought it was really interesting. I liked how each mission always told a different part of this. Like, the missions were really story driven, and that's what I was saying with Halo, right?
Right.
They didn't sacrifice story for the gameplay, and that's what I really liked about StarCraft and Warcraft. All the missions were, they were you got to try to stop eventually Kerrigan, who is one of the final boss. Well, not the final boss, but the main reason that all this bad shit's going down. We don't know that.
I don't think I got that. I learned who Kerrigan is in the Terran, I believe, but I have to play more of. It's either the Protoss or the Zerg to really, because apparently there's a betrayal of some kind, and that's all. That's as far as I got. They were hinting at it. I was like, oh, okay. But like you said,
no.
the missions are within the story, which I thought was really cool. It never seemed like I was doing the same mission twice. Like,
no.
Sometimes it's just go destroy a base, and that's kind of the introduction level. Now it's go save a comrade, which requires a different sort of strategy. You're kind of protecting areas at a time more than conquering. It never once did the game feel repetitive, which I thought was really, really remarkable because it's a real-time strategy game, and it's from the mid-90s nonetheless.
Yeah.
To have such depth in a game like this I was more or less fascinated. And this was the first game I played for the podcast. I'm like, this is going to take a lot to to overtake my opinion of this game. Like, which one could we have possibly played that I thought would be better than StarCraft? Because I played so much in just the first couple nights, and then I ended up trying to play 2-player mode with this, and it's not possible on the N64. The lag is ridiculous. God, no. The split screen's terrible. It goes from, because the game itself has a great view of the map and moving around.
Oh, yeah.
But when you get into that split screen mode, all of a sudden it goes to this like lower isometric view, and you can't really see anything anymore. Plus the lag makes it unplayable. I was like, oh, that's very disappointing. Because my friend and I were all pumped up to play StarCraft against each other. Because that's kind of what it is. It's
yeah, and I'm actually really happy you brought up the multiplayer. I'm really happy you brought up the multiplayer, because that was the biggest selling point to this game. The biggest selling point to StarCraft was not just the storyline, because don't get me wrong, the storyline was incredible, right? Mm-hmm. They made World of Warcraft because of Warcraft. I can easily see them making a game like, let's say, World of StarCraft. Let's just say something silly like that, because of how in-depth and well-ingrained the story is into the games that they've released. I keep saying Diablo. It's not Diablo, it's StarCraft, I promise. No, the story is so deeply ingrained into the games that I can see them making stuff like this. But that's not the point that people bought the game. The people bought these games because of the online game. Like there was professional esports teams to this day that still earn sponsors, and they compete in televised matches. They still do that to this day. There's probably a tournament going on right now somewhere in South Korea, which was the best place the game sold.
You mentioned this to me. I found that really interesting.
Yeah, StarCraft sold nearly 10 million copies by 2007.
That's just incredible.
And 6 million of those were sold, something like 6 million, 7 million were sold in just South Korea alone.
Wow. Well, I mean, that just speaks to the whole stereotype that don't play a Korean online. I almost think it originated from this game.
Well, they don't screw around there. They take their esports gaming seriously. If you want to play an online game, you have to provide your social security number, your social insurance number. You have to provide that to be able to play online.
Wow.
And they have so many strict laws in South Korea just for internet use for minors and even for regular people. They watch that shit, man. They don't screw around when it comes to their games. They actually see it as a professional sport.
Well, I can definitely see why, because of the elements of that the game offers. because it's not just like a Civilization where you build stuff and hope that your X region is going to take over the other. There's so much, because it's real time. You have to be quick thinking, and there's so many elements in this game that here's some of my favorite elements, Josh, if you don't mind.
No, go for it.
I liked how after you defeat an enemy, like I said, I played the Terran the most. I completed the story.
Yep.
When you defeat, for example, a Zerg enemy, the ground kind of dissipates, and then it creates a land advantage for you because now you own the land. So you move faster. I was like, okay, that's cool. Yeah. So it kind of, you develop a strategy off of that. I liked how refineries can only be built over geysers to harvest gas. So it's kind of real life elements in there. It's like, okay, that makes sense.
No, the game is incredibly realistic, which I found incredible for a military sci-fi game.
Yeah, I learned that the Terran SCVs are like the most important thing ever. If you can have all your units die, as long as you have one SCV left, you can make a comeback. I didn't figure that out until a few mission failures myself.
Well, that's just one of the elements that makes the game. That just makes this game so popular.
Yeah, I could totally picture when I figured that out, someone online going, "My strategy is just to take out all their SCVs." And then it's just picking off the opponent one by one. It's like I saw it immediately. I was like, wow, this is really cool.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I'm gonna have to say you're gonna have to get the computer version so we can play each other.
I will be absolute trash.
It's okay. I haven't played it for a while either.
The computer was hard enough for me. I'm still learning. It's.
when I had picked it up again after, because I hadn't played it for long, I hadn't even thought about it until you said name some space games. Like, oh wait a second, StarCraft is a space game, right?
Yeah, kinda.
So yeah, I thought of that and I picked it up again. I was like, oh my god, I am incredibly rusty.
So I do have a couple questions just to finish this off. Why does the PC version do this? When you're moving about the map, why does because before you discover an area, there's this blackness around you haven't discovered. Yeah. I'm like, okay, I've seen that in Civilization, I've seen that in other games. But even when you go over the areas, after you get to a certain distance, this lighter, less dark fog then goes back over those areas. Is that in the PC version?
Yeah, that's the fog of war. That's
why is that even a thing in the game? Is there a purpose to it?
Well, you gotta think. Yeah, it's realistically, it's so like the map. Realistically, you can't see everything, right? So unless you have vision of something, you can't see it. If you don't have scout going around or something going around, you can't see it. That's one of the ways that's why strategy is such a big thing, because you have to figure where are they coming from?
Okay, yeah, because I was looking at it from like a Civilization standpoint. You've been there, you know it. You got the map drawn out. You know what's there, and then you can see what's happening.
No, you have the map drawn out.
So okay, you have it Fog of War. That makes a little bit more sense. That makes different strategy come into mode.
Yeah. So like you've discovered the map, so you have that part of the map drawn out, but you're not there, so you can't physically see it.
Okay, that's pretty.
It's not in your line of sight.
Right. I was wondering if that was the same on the PC or a limitation to the N64. That's why I kind of
Fog of
bring
War
it up.
It's a huge thing, even in a lot of MOBAs. Fog of War is a huge thing. Vision is such a huge thing in a lot of games like that.
Interesting. Okay. And then when you play against the Zerg and you leave them alone for a little bit too long, they amass this crazy force, kind of like the Flood in Halo. Does it lag the piss out of the PC version, or is it just the N64?
Well, that depends, right? Computers are a lot different because it really depends on how your computer can handle graphics.
Well, I imagine it could be crazy big on any of today's computers, but I'm trying to think back in the 90s on a computer. If this
back in the when I first played it, I always had problems with that. I would always have problems when it come out to fighting and everything like that.
Okay, all right. So then that's just the product of the time then. Okay.
Yeah. So when it comes to the 64, obviously there's going to be a lot of different problems because the 64 is set in the way it is. But when I played it again on my computer, I remember going to be like, oh shit, this is gonna lag. It's gonna be horrible. And I went in, there was nothing. right? It depends on the power of your computer.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that was a major issue. So it was because the later levels on the Terran, the Zerg amasses this crazy force, and it's not that it was hard; it was the lag that made it so hard.
Yeah.
So my strategy was developed on avoiding the lag in the game at certain points in certain missions, which that was a major downside to me. But still, the fact that there's 3 separate storylines, the story is incredibly deep. I wish I could have learned more because it's so text-based and a lot is removed. I felt really... I felt shafted as a gamer, but again, that's a limitation to the N64. I'm taking what I can get for the console.
Mm-hmm. No, then like I said, when you get it, we're gonna play on the computer. We're gonna play against each other.
Well,
okay.
I long for combat. I had to throw that in there.
Let's go on to our next game. The next game that we're going to talk about is one that personally irritated the shit out of me.
Go on.
It really irritated the shit out of me. However, it is a really, really good game. It's critically acclaimed, and a lot of people have played this game. And this game is called Jet Force Gemini. Now, this game... sorry, 1 second here. This game was developed by Rare. Okay, the publishers were PAL, Rare. Okay.
Rare PAL. That means Europe.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
fun here. Instantly, it wasn't called Jet Force Gemini in Japan. It was called Star Twins. Just on the fact that Jet Force Gemini was hard to pronounce for them.
You know what though? That's fair.
It's fair. Yeah, it makes sense. It's a weird third-person shooter.
Yeah, I don't know. I have my own little beefs with that, but it's not just a third-person shooter, which is what makes it so great. It's an action-adventure platforming game.
I wouldn't even say it's really a platformer because the jumping's terrible, and you don't need to do it.
The jumping is god-awful. No, don't get me wrong. Technically, it is a platformer. I don't really see it as a platformer.
I don't really see where they get that idea.
I see it as a third-person shooter action-adventure, obviously.
Yeah. Okay, so I can take this from here before, so you can
face
dilute some
right
of
now.
the salt. You can dilute some of that salt you're building.
Okay.
So it was released in 1999 on the Nintendo 64, and it's fairly cheap. It's a $15 game.
Yeah, no, it's pretty cheap. Or if you have the Xbox One, it's on the Rare Replay, which is the way I played it.
And we'll get into that.
So yes, we will.
Oh, it has a fun multiplayer deathmatch mode, but it's pretty slow and clunky. It lags a lot. It's really a misstep on what could have been a good game. But the controls are what make that deathmatch mode not really viable to play. So you're basically playing for the story.
Yeah,
So immediately when you boot up the story, you're already seeing elements of, and this is a quote from the lead artist. His name was Lee Musgrave. There's going to be elements of Star Wars, Aliens, Stargate, and even Dune. Basically anything space related in this game.
Yeah.
And I could see all that. I mean, we're basically seeing xenomorphs in all these games. We saw it in Halo. We see it in StarCraft.
Yep.
The story is this evil leader named Mizar, who's basically the evil empire. Yeah. And he has drones attack the main characters on, you guessed it, a ship exploding in space. And they have to escape before it explodes. So I can honestly say at this point, if you're playing a space game, it's almost like they're starting the exact same way in all of them. There's not really much originality, it seems.
It's really tough to do something original with space games. Because I mean,
I think even Mass Effect starts the exact same way with your spaceship exploding. I think so. It's been a while, but I believe that's how it starts. So basically, your two main characters, Juno and Vela.
Yep.
Don't forget
Lupus. Lupus is a character.
The little space dog. It's a character.
Frickin' war dog.
So the two main characters, Vela and Lupus, get separated from Juno, and they kind of begin their own paths to stop the invasion of Mizar on a nearby planet called Goldwood. And let me tell you, this is where these elements that the artist was talking about comes in. This is basically the planet from Star Wars: The New Hope.
Yeah.
All the quote unquote tribals.
All the tribals look like the Ewoks.
Exactly. They're Ewoks. The elder on the planet in this village, he's this green gremlin little dude with a cane. Come on, that's freaking Yoda.
Yeah.
They weren't even trying.
Ewoks. They kind of looked like they reminded me a lot of the Gremlins.
Yeah, they looked like if Ewoks were gremlins. Exactly. Yeah. Oh, it's wild. Now the visuals for the time look fantastic. I've never played an N64 game that looks as sharp as this.
They looked very Rare-esque. Like you could tell even if you go back to the Donkey Kong Country games, or not Donkey Kong Country, Donkey Kong 64, whatever they were that Rare had developed. Even with what is the game called? Conker's Bad Fur Day, which was my favorite 64 game. Conker's Bad Fur Day. All the graphics look the same, and as soon as I seen the part where Juno throws his coffee at the beginning, I said, yeah, this is Rare. This is Rare.
Immediately. Yeah, it really screams that company. And let's face it, Rare in the mid to late 90s, I would say would be the developer they set the standard.
They ran the show. They honestly, Rare ran the show. And as soon as the GameCube came out, unfortunately, Rare just couldn't stick with the times anymore. And it's a damn shame because Rare has made a lot of good games, like the new Banjo-Kazooie game or whatever it's called.
Yooka-Laylee?
What?
Are you talking about Yooka-Laylee?
I'm not sure. I don't remember.
Because they're not making that. Rare's making Sea of Thieves.
Huh, I didn't know that either.
Anyways, back to Jet Force Gemini here. Did you notice the animations in this game are incredibly brutal?
Oh, jeez, yeah.
The killing sequences, you're shooting these like basically ant creatures, which again look like xenomorphs to me.
Yeah,
that's aliens. You shoot their heads off.
Yeah,
are you kidding me?
And
I didn't know Nintendo was capable of this.
They explode into this burst of green, and their heads, like the body parts, fly all over the place.
Yeah,
it's a very rare thing to, not rare, like, oh my god, that's rare, but that's like rare, soft, very rare thing they do.
Oh my god! And then flies go around the corpse.
Yeah, no, it was incredible. The amount of detail that Rare put into these games. Rare was such a powerhouse because of the strides they would take, or the risks they would take with their games, which is what made games like this one incredible, because you would see things that you would not see in a regular game, and it would make games like, well, Donkey Kong was going to be popular because it was freaking Donkey Kong,
right?
But then they got really big because of games like Conker's Bad Fur Day as well, because they were really willing to take risks that other companies weren't.
Exactly, they weren't limited to trying to be censored by Nintendo. And I'm actually amazed Nintendo allowed, like you said, a Conker's Bad Fur Day, or even what we're seeing here in Jet Force Gemini. Yeah. What was cool was I loved the guns and the upgrades. Everything's a laser gun in this game, it seems.
Yeah.
Which is again Star Wars. Everything's basically a laser gun. The barrel explosions were so cool in the game.
That was actually one of the biggest things. A lot of the people had said that a lot of the big, like, the game was, and its space games seemed to share the same thing, for lack of a better word. They all were very, very atmospheric. It wasn't so much the gameplay; it was everything that was going on around you that made these games so well done. Yeah, and even in a cartoony version, we played Halo. This reminded me of a cartoony version of Halo. Yeah. Like, even the music and the sound effects, they were some of the best that were put into a 64 game for the music. And there was a quote. It was very Stargate-esque. There was a quote from IGN. Yeah, there was a quote from IGN saying that the sound effects were dead on and crystal clear. Yeah, I've for all the good things we speak about the game, that's not to say it didn't have its drawbacks. The music reminds me of Stargate, first and foremost, if you've ever seen that show.
It's great. It's very orchestral at times, and it goes in and out seemingly depending on what part of the game you're at. But
the controls,
oh
man.
Boy, the controls. Josh,
the reason I
bring
didn't
out your
like
salt.
this, all right, here we go. The reason I didn't really enjoy this game too much was because of the controls. Now, I didn't play it on the 64 like JD did. I played it on the Xbox One. So I had 2 analog sticks to try to work with. Now, what really took the game away from me was when you would go to aim, not so much in first-person mode. It would still be third-person. They just kind of ghost your character out so you can aim a little better.
Which is a great idea.
Oh, it was a great idea. But the problem I had now was you move with the left stick, but you also aim with the left stick. So what they did to combat that is when you went into the aiming mode, you had to move with the right stick, and it's just like, who reprogrammed this game for this goddamn system? This was the stupidest thing that I have ever played, and I've played some stupid shit. It's Star Fox Adventures.
Intuitive, but here we go. Now, there was a reason behind it. Now, as you can imagine, the N64 only has the one analog stick.
The one thumbstick,
the one. So what happens is you have to hold the R button down to go into manual targeting mode. Otherwise, it's a run and gun, and it auto targets enemies, and you use the left and right C button to strafe.
Yeah.
But when you go into this manual targeting mode, it's supposed to be so you can snipe the enemies at a distance and the drones. However, on the N64 version, you can't move at all.
Yeah. Which is why
being able to move, count yourself lucky. If you could move and shoot, the difficulty of the game just goes down incredibly easy to an easy level.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying the game was difficult.
They did this purposely so you can't move to bring up some difficulty. It's so you don't just stand out in the middle of a field in manual targeting mode. So the enemy AI is smart enough where they'll pick you off. So from that aspect, I'm like, okay, there's some difficulty here on purpose, and they're trying to utilize the controls in that way to a point. But like you said, when they did the Red Replay, when you go into the manual targeting mode, now you have to move with the right analog stick instead of the left. It's switching on you, and it's doing that on purpose so the controls still have that level of difficulty, even though technology has advanced to make that game a lot easier. So they wanted to keep the difficulty level at a point. They wanted to make it more or less an old school hard, but yet not too hard.
Now, I'm not taking away from the game because of the controls. Okay, I didn't enjoy it because of that solution.
No, from no matter how long I played the game, I never got used to it.
No.
It's so finicky.
What my major concern about that whole thing is, I understand they probably want to try to keep it difficult, but they easily could have just made the game a little bit tougher. They have the technology to do it. I get it. So I mean, I don't know. I didn't enjoy the game when I was playing it. It wasn't really my type of game, and I don't know. I don't think I'll get crucified for it, but I might. Who knows?
I think it's fair. The controls definitely throw a lot of people off. I tried having a friend come over and test this game out, and he goes, "This is ass."
Yeah.
He couldn't do it. It was that bad to him. What I don't like is you end up having to play the same levels more than once because you have to save all the little Ewok characters.
Tribal, yeah.
Every single one. And they die. They can die.
Oh, what?
Yeah. If you leave them alone just a little bit too long, the drones and the ant creatures will pick them off and kill them, and then you'll have to do the level over again.
Oh, jeez.
So it's incredibly tedious, and you can't complete the game until you do that.
Yeah, you have to find them all. So that was one of the takeaways.
They're not just out in the open either. They're hidden.
Yeah. So that's one of the takeaways. Like, I get the fact that they're hidden. It makes sense. They're hiding from the aliens. I get that. But that's one of my biggest takeaways was that you have to go find every single one of these goddamn Ewok tribal things. But that didn't crush the game like as a whole, because it made it so you can go through all these maps in any order you want as soon as you unlock the three characters you can play.
Right.
Which is cool because each character had their own their own thing they could do. Like Juno could walk through lava. Did you know that?
I did.
Vila can swim indefinitely and Lupus can kind of hover, like he can fly.
Yeah, good for him.
A bit. Yeah, that's great. So like it was cool because you had all these different elements. Like each character was unique in a sense. You needed different characters to get through different parts of the game. Although in the long run, it just felt like a shooting version of a Donkey Kong game, with all the tedious collectibles you have to get.
I can't argue with that opinion at all. I liked the game and what it had to offer, but those controls were so ridiculous. And
that'll attribute, like, and that my opinion of this game really attributes to what I had said before in a previous podcast. I will bring the game down to, I said 3 things: control, the story, and the graphics. The graphics are such a minor thing that even if it had shitty graphics, I don't care. But if the controls are garbage, I lose interest for the game immediately. And if the story is garbage, even if the controls are great and the graphics are brilliant, I'll just lose interest immediately.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this game, critically acclaimed. And if you want to try it out. But I'm not going to recommend this game to anybody.
I think it's a good game if you want to expand your N64 collection.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's worth at least a try. It's not too expensive, but bear in mind that you're going to have to deal with these controls. They're made on purpose to be hard.
Yeah. And I don't mind that. Like, I don't mind being beaten in a game. I don't care if I lose. It's just the controls were so awful that it made me lose interest immediately.
I could have dealt with the manual shooting. The jumping's impossible.
Jeez.
The repetitive levels. I mean, like I said in Halo, you start making me repeat things for nonsense, I'm not going to enjoy it, and that's really what killed it for me. Mm-hmm. The controls brought me down a bit. I'm like, okay, I'll get this challenge. I'm fine. I'm kind of liking the story. I have to find all these Ewok guys. Count me out.
I don't mind finding collectibles. I don't care to find collectibles. That's fine. But they're fucking impossible to find.
Yeah. Especially when you don't know that they can die. Yeah. And you just have to repeat the level. Like, oh my god, why? So I think our opinions are pretty good on Jet Force Gemini.
Yeah. I would not mind if I never had to play this game again.
My god. Oh,
yeah,
man.
so
thanks, Keith.
Yeah, thanks, Keith. Frick.
Oh,
so
god.
The last game we're going to talk about, it's a game that actually I wasn't able to play. So,
oh, bummer.
Everything I have is basically all information I had to look up on my own. But you played this game, right?
I not only played this game, I almost beat it.
Well, there you go. The next game we're going to talk about is Alien Syndrome, and JD, you're the professional at this. I'm going to leave this one to you. I
adore this game. This is a blatant ripoff of the Alien franchise from the time. So now I think our listeners have seen a pattern with how we, not on purpose, but it just so happened that we ended up choosing games that are basically off the Alien franchise. The only exception being Earthworm Jim.
Yeah. And even still, I'm sure you can find something in there.
I'm sure there's something. I couldn't find it. But this is a run and gun shooter. It came out on the Sega Master System in 1987 as an arcade game. It came out on the NES and Sega Master System in 88. The NES version is actually published by Tengen, while the Master System version was developed and published by Sega and other ports from there on. It's a pretty cheap game. I got it for $15 Canadian. So it's pretty common. Like I said, it's an 8-bit rendition of the movie Alien from the franchise, and it pulls no punches in that. You're Earth Command, and you're sent out to stop an alien fleet from invading Earth. So you can be Ricky or Mary. In the Master System version, you can only be Ricky. In the NES version, which I didn't play too much of, you can choose between Ricky and Mary, the two characters.
Okay.
And when you see the sprites, they are totally not Michael Biehn or Sigourney Weaver from the movie Aliens. Oh no, not at all.
No, not at all. I mean,
not at all. They don't look anything like them.
That's crazy.
So what happens is the Earth Command sends out this fleet, and they've all been captured by the aliens. So now Ricky and Mary have been given the task to infiltrate the ships and save your comrades. There's a total of 6 ships that you have to infiltrate.
Okay.
And this is all in the box, and because this is the times. The game didn't have the capability of just telling you the story right then and there. You had to read the manual, the story's there, and then you play the game. Before you can successfully escape each ship, you have to save a certain amount of hostages, or your comrades.
Okay.
Now, this is where the funny part is. There's a bomb planted at the beginning of each stage, in which your characters have planted the bomb. So now you have a timer that ticks down. Okay,
because you're on the alien spaceships, right?
Right. So I'm like, why are they setting the bomb before they save all their friends? So I looked it up back in the manual, and Earth Command says you have to set the bomb when you first get on the ship, just in case you fail. So in case you die. I'm like, oh. So automatically the game has given you this sort of dread. You're like, shit, I'm on a timer. Mm-hmm. I have to get in, save my friends, and get out. Well, I thought it was really cool.
I had seen a review where someone was saying that it was one of the most gripping games that they've ever played, giving it somehow this older game a horror atmosphere with all these chilling sounds and special effects and graphics and gameplay.
Oh my god, getting into the sounds, when you die, the character lays out this wild scream like, ow! And you're like, oh Jesus.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
The other thing the game does is, I mean, don't get me wrong, the game is hard. It's a one-hit kill. You get hit, you're dead. And you only have 3 lives.
Oh, jeez.
So the fact that any enemy on any stage can kill you in one hit, you're scared of every single thing you see.
Oh yeah, you're inching into rooms easily.
Yeah. The NES version has kind of a because the you can't see the whole map at once. You go from different areas. The NES version, it scrolls seamlessly. The Sega Master System version, it kind of it breaks into sections like The Legend of Zelda does. Each time you get to a map, it pauses for a second and moves the screen, and then you can move. So you're almost scared to go to different parts of the map in case there's an enemy on the other section that you can't see.
Okay.
So it's really simple in the gameplay, in the controls. It's just the 1 button shoots, the 2 button pauses the game, and this is how you can see how many hostages you need to save and how many you have left to save before the exit door is unlocked.
Okay.
So you have to save a certain amount of hostages before you can get that door to unlock, in which then you will fight a boss at the end of each level. And these bosses are freaking weird, and they're scary, and my god, they're
I've seen them referred to as monstrosities. Not
that's
so much
you know
bosses.
what, that's a good way to put it, because I was a loss of words just thinking about how to describe these things. Like one boss is this wild like grasshopper that you gotta hit its nutsack or something.
What the hell?
Oh yeah. Another one is this like blob monster, and it shoots out fireballs, and it has like wild teeth that make up its entire head. They're really weird. It's almost like a 5th grader drew these things like, yep, that's an alien.
Well, I mean, they're not wrong, realistically. It's just the box art. The thing on the box art is creepy, man.
Well, it looks like a straight xenomorph.
Yeah.
In the movie Alien, that's what I was saying. Now, the weapons in the game is really cool. First of all, if you lose any of these power-ups, you might as well just restart the game if you go into a boss fight and die.
Oh boy.
It's borderline impossible because the hit detection in the game is very loose.
Oh, geez.
It's incredibly sensitive, and that really annoyed me, especially when fighting bosses later. I couldn't beat the final boss because of the hit detection. Because what happens is the bosses slowly corner you, and the final boss, just things go everywhere, and in order to meticulously dodge bullets and whatnot, you can't do it with this hit detection, and it's impossible in the final one. I just couldn't beat him.
Damn. That's brutal.
Yeah.
Man, hitboxes are always the worst thing to try to, I imagine, to try to program into a game.
It was a major letdown because I really wanted to beat this game, and I got so far. It took a lot of practice.
So what happens when you game over? Do you have to start the whole game over again, or do you
Whole
have
game
to start
over again?
Oh boy.
Yeah, it's an arcade port.
Gotcha.
It was originally an arcade game, so it wants you to feed it quarters, basically.
Fair enough. Assholes. Fair enough.
One thing that was really cool, when I just tested out, like, what happens if the timer actually goes down? The entire ship just goes up in flames. Do. It's really cool. But unlike when you get hit and die by an enemy, all your hostages are still saved.
Okay.
That you've saved to that point. If the ship explodes, you start the entire level over again, assuming you have lives left over. So you have to resave all the people you saved before. I'm like, I guess that makes sense.
It makes sense, but geez Louise.
Yeah. Another cool thing is you're given an extra 30 seconds going into each boss. So let's say you want to farm lives, because when you get a certain amount of points, you get an extra life. Let's say you want to farm the enemies and getting more points.
Okay.
So I don't recommend getting that clock down to like 10 seconds, because you're only given that 30 seconds. That's great for when you have like a minute left in the level, but I think you need at least a minute and a half to beat a boss.
Yeah, good luck with doing that 40 seconds.
Yeah, it's no bueno. It's not a good time.
So when you die, do you get all your time back or no?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I don't remember actually. I know that you get all your time back if you let it expire, because the whole level starts over again.
That's true, yeah.
The bosses are creepy, like I said, but because of the master system, it's just a black screen around the boss. So they could make the sprites bigger and more frightening. So that was just a limitation of the system at the time. But other than that, the levels themselves are well rendered and colored, and each level is very much different. Like, it's almost like you're going around mazes, and there are platforms there that really make you inch. So it's pretty cool. I really liked it. The power-ups are cool. You get a flamethrower naturally. You have a laser and a fireball. My favorite to use was the flamethrower on the level, and then I would try to get the laser before each boss fight. Because what the flamethrower has a bigger hitbox detection.
Okay.
While the laser actually goes through enemies. So the problem with the hitbox with bosses goes away with the laser, because then you can go through the entire sprite.
Oh, okay, makes sense.
But the game is definitely balls hard. It took a long time.
Oh, jeez, yeah, I imagine, just from what you're explaining. I'll have to definitely come and try that game.
Oh, you can at least look up a Let's Play of someone doing it, and they, of course, Let's Plays just make everything look incredibly easy.
Oh, yeah, of course.
So, I really enjoyed the game. I just really wish the final boss was possible to beat for the Master System version.
Well, I mean, hey, if you keep practice makes perfect, right?
It's just that hit detection just makes it borderline impossible. I wasn't able to do it. But I did have fun playing all the bosses, and I was like, okay, I'll just tell myself that I beat the final boss, and it says, like, congratulations at the end.
I wish I could have played that game, though. It's a damn shame that, well, I don't even have a Sega Master System, right? I could not find this game at all to save my life. I had never even heard of it.
I literally just got this game on Boxing Day.
Dang. So
I was really happy
lucky
to play it for the podcast. This was my pick, and I'm really happy to say that if you own a Master System, this is probably a game you should have for it. And it's not that expensive. It's only about $15.
Well, it's one of those unknown, really well, not as known games, right? So,
it did come out later on, I believe, a PS2 Sega Genesis collection.
They did make a port later, 2007 for the Wii and PSP.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's the same thing or not.
They remade it with like 3D graphics, and a sequel did come out for it, and that's something I haven't played, but I'd definitely be interested in checking it out.
Yeah, that's definitely something I'll probably end up checking out since I couldn't play the original.
So yeah.
Any other final comments or thoughts about that, or?
I this might be the first game I was actually scared playing.
Really?
Because of that sense of atmosphere and terror. It did it so well, and for them to be able to pull this off on the Master System, I'm incredibly impressed. I felt fear, I felt terror, I felt frustration.
I'm gonna have to play this game now.
It's
find it.
But it does take time to get a handle on things.
Oh, well, just like everything else, right? As long as it's not like Jet Force Gemini, I think everything will be just fine.
Oh, poor Jet Force Gemini.
I'm sure that game is okay. We just give it a bad rap. Don't listen to us for that. Go and try it yourselves. You guys will. I believe you guys will enjoy it.
So, just to run through again, our 6 games were Super Metroid for the Super Nintendo, Earthworm Jim for both the Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis, Halo for the Xbox, StarCraft for the PC and N64, Jet Force Gemini also for the Nintendo 64, and Alien Syndrome for the Sega Master System, with an option to play it on the NES.
Yeah.
What was your favorite game out of these 6?
My favorite game? I'm gonna not say StarCraft, because like I said, I am a Blizzard fanboy, but I'm going to definitely say my favorite game was the Super Metroid.
Super Metroid.
Hands down. The way it played, the graphics, the power-ups, it was just so smooth and so well put together. I can easily see why it was called the best game, one of the best games ever. I can easily see it. And I honestly believe it. I agree. I believe it. And I will tell people that this is a game that you must play, no matter how you play it. Get this game. What about you? What was your favorite one to play?
So, I'm not gonna choose my pick of Alien Syndrome. That was my pick. So, I'm not gonna choose Super Metroid because I played it before, and that was actually the only one on the list that I'd played previously before this podcast.
I'd only played StarCraft and Halo.
I am gonna go with Earthworm Jim. I'd only attempted the game once, and I couldn't even get past the trash can boss before. So the fact that I was able to, I had the perseverance to play this game to completion and have so much fun doing so, I really want to go out and get a copy of my own now.
Oh,
and
man.
I'm really torn on which version I want to get, whether it's the Sega Genesis version or the Super Nintendo.
You gotta get the Super Nintendo version. Super Nintendo's better. I'm telling you, the Super Nintendo version's better.
I'm so torn, but I would say Earthworm Jim is my game for the podcast on space. Do you have any honorable mentions over maybe some other games of the past? You mentioned one earlier.
The one I mentioned earlier was actually a game called Bob. I'm honestly surprised that I didn't think of that one. Now, Bob is an honorable mention. It's my cousin's favorite game. I haven't really played too much of it. That's why I didn't end up picking it, because I don't know too much about it yet. But don't you get me wrong, I'm going to play that. If you like, I'm telling you, if you want to, I'll send you the link. I'll send you a link to my cousin's to his review. For everyone else that wants to check it out, it's Dirtbag Gaming. Check that out, Bob. I believe he's got a review on there. I'm not quite sure.
I'm gonna have to do that. I am a subscriber for him.
Yeah, exactly.
Some honorable mentions I'd like to do just from modern gaming. Obviously, Mass Effect.
Yep.
I mean, there's a whole trilogy of it with a new game coming out.
Yep.
One I actually was inspired to just replay again, or replay a lot of it, was Alien Isolation.
I have not played that game yet.
It's
hint for my channel.
It's a difficult game. It's a direct sequel to the Alien movie, and it's very faithful to the movie series. It's really good. I highly recommend it. And if we were doing anything like modern games, you can bet your ass that Alien Isolation would have been on this list.
Oh, yeah. That one, I would have said even Eve, or maybe I would have even said StarCraft 2.
Yeah, I mean, when we were researching games that we could pick for, the amount of mid to late 90s and early 2000s PC games that have a space theme is incredible. There's so many.
Well, if we really think about it, we have more technology to make space games feel even more atmospheric.
Yeah, I mean, holy crap! I have PlayStation VR and I have Eve Valkyrie for it, and there's not much to the game other than just being immersed in space.
Yeah,
it's
no,
crazy.
absolutely. There is a whole community just built on playing just these space games. And the technology we have now that we didn't have back then, it's just these games that were already so atmospheric and incredible and flowed so well. If they would have come out with games like this today, they would have been, I believe, 10 times better. Which is why, like I said before, I'm really excited to see if they make another Metroid game. Because if it rivals anything like Super Metroid, they could possibly make another game that could be considered one of the best games ever made. And I believe
Josh,
Nintendo could do that.
You're not wrong. I'm looking forward to that. I have high hopes for what the Switch could possibly bring, especially in the Metroid series. I'm actually hoping they do something spacey as well. It remains to be seen if a Mass Effect game will come out on a Nintendo platform again. But yeah, this was a great first theme. We'll have to discuss briefly over our next theme for episode 2 and pick our games over the next week or two. And I think that about wraps it up. What do you think?
No, that's absolutely it. This was a great first episode, honestly. I believe that.
Yeah, it was fantastic. I had a lot of fun doing this. I look forward to many more. Josh, where can we find you?
Okay, so I'm just gonna go ahead and I'll start this. I'll start this. Okay. So first of all, I'd like to thank everybody for listening to us drawl on about these video games. We know if you guys made it to the end, we know you're just about as passionate as us as we are about video games. We are extremely passionate. We JD and I thank you from the bottom of our hearts for listening to us to the very end here. Like I said in the beginning, my name is Josh. You can find me over on, like I said, the illustrious YouTube channel PowerChord, as well as on Twitter under PowerChord Gaming. And you can find me. I'm JD at BowlingJD on Twitter. Please send your questions and requests of themes to us, either at PowerChord on Twitter or at BowlingJD. I am also on YouTube at Moosenspiel. Yeah, and if you want to talk with us, go ahead. You want to let us know, like JD said, you got any comments, questions, concerns, let us know. If you want to tell us that we're wrong for ragging on Jet Force Gemini, be my guest. I will be more than happy to talk with you about that. Not argue. I don't argue. I won't argue with you about how you feel about a game. I will never do that. I'm not here to start a YouTube war or a war. Okay.
Well, then I will take that position. Then I am more than happy to get into many debates.
No, I won't.
Definitely
argue.
send those questions
discuss.
and
I will discuss.
Mail.
I will not argue. Send the hate mail to JD. Send the civil discussions to us.
All right. The American in me came out. I'm sorry.
I will fight you over this.
Oh boy. So yeah, this was Red Leaf Retrocast episode 1. You can definitely find us on iTunes and Google Play Music. Any parting words, Josh?
No, other than check us out on YouTube and Twitter, that's really all I got to say at this point.
Oh, fantastic. Send us off.
So again, thank you guys very much. This has been Red Leaf Retrocast. My name is Josh.
And I'm JD.
And we will see you guys in the next podcast with our next topic. Have a good night, everybody.